Welcome to Death Holler. Do you like scary movies? Welcome to Season 3, Slash or Pass. There will be laughter, tears, tender moments.
Jason, my special boy.
But most of all, screams. Remember, when you're in Death Holler, listener discretion is always advised. We hope you have a killer time.
Back at it again for Christmas season.
Gotta bring some of that holiday cheer or jeer, whatever we're bringing. Fear, holiday fear.
Yeah, the holiday ho-ho horror, as it were.
Oh boy, and there are a lot of hoes that we witnessed in these movies.
That's what you get into whenever you get in the slasher season.
I feel like they were unintentional hoes, though, honestly. I don't think they deserve the hoe title, only because they weren't hoeing.
Yeah, more so. Yeah, I mean, maybe there's one of the films we're discussing that I would say probably there's a hoe in there, but like, it's
It just dawned on me.
But you've seen some movies recently. What did you end up watching?
I finally, without being forced to or for any kind of, show coming up, watched some horror movies while I was getting a tattoo. Now, I needed these horror films. I needed the distraction. Llareyna does not handle pain. That's why you always hear me crying. You think I'm crying for my children. I'm crying because my back hurts. My hip. I slept on a pillow wrong. Sometimes I cry for the children, but I am lately crying because of the pain of the tattoo that I chose to get. Regrets were had, but lessons were not learned. I will be back to get some color. But while getting this tattoo, I was able to watch Smile. And that was my tattoo artist's recommendation. He was like, "Hey, have you seen Smile?" And I was like, "No, if you have it, pop that bitch on because I need to watch it." Loved it. Unofficial, responses that I loved it. I think that I was kind of set up with some low expectations because I had been hearing some people just say that just really distaste for it. Like it should have never been made and it was such a waste of time. I disagree.
Obvious ones, it's like it's just a ripoff of either It Follows or The Ring, so why bother? And, yeah.
Yeah, there was that whole 7-day period of I have to figure this out or else. I think how they handled it was nice. A little predictable. A little. But even with what I thought was going to happen, and I won't really spoil or anything, the way that they executed everything was so cool. Loved the death scenes and the fake death scenes. I mean, I was having a good time.
The thing that kills me is that people always throw out there, it's like, oh, it's like this movie, it's like that movie. Just because something takes from other sources doesn't mean that it shouldn't be attempted. And one of the movies that we're going to be discussing on the podcast was the source of inspiration for the biggest slasher movie in history. So, I mean, and I'll get to that in the trivia, but I mean, just because, that movie took what, one of the movies from this podcast, did and ran with it doesn't mean that it was just a copycat or it shouldn't have been made. I mean, it clearly set off a whole trend.
I don't think there's anything wrong with inspired by. And if you really look into a film, these directors, these creators, these writers will be honest with you and say, hey, I was inspired by this. I was inspired by this, and I respect the fuck out of that.
I mean, it's totally awesome if they take that but they make like no material with it. And I mean, yes, there are concepts from either It Follows or from The Ring, especially, that are in this. But as we discussed, I mean, even The Ring, it very likely took a lot of its inspiration, at least the book did, from The Changeling. So, I mean, one thing copies another. I mean.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the inspiration is all around us. I will say this. The Ring had its own, like, shocking moments that made the film so you walked out of there, like, almost you wanted to be numb. You just didn't want to feel anything because you're just like, what the fuck did I just witness? And they were so good with their marketing. Could be said about Smile, but I mean, we're talking about two completely different things. Like even their shock scenes and their scare scenes were nothing like each other. I mean, you could say that every scary movie. Oh, the stupid shock scenes. Oh, the loud music playing. Whatever. Okay, like that's gonna happen.
Well,
I think they both did a great job on their own.
I agree. The one thing that reminded me of, the other complaint that I've heard people say, if they wasn't talking about the copycat portion or factor, there's a lot of people that's mentioned, oh, it's just a bunch of jump scares. They're such good jump scares in that movie that I saw one of them in the trailer and I still jumped whenever I saw it in the movie.
Yes, I know which one you're talking about. And I wouldn't even call them jump scares. I would just refer to them as scares. So they were good. They're effective.
Well, and I think I mentioned this whenever I kind of did my little mini review of it, a few episodes ago. The one thing that I liked about it was that there's tension built up between each jump scare. You are not let off the hook at any point during this movie.
Nope, you really don't get recovery time. Even when you think you're having recovery time, you're not prepared. Nothing will prepare you. And yeah, I mean, the mixture of emotions, I think the main actress did such a great job of playing a not crazy person.
If I remember right, I think she's like, maybe like Kevin Bacon's daughter or something.
Oh, she looks like Kira Sedgwick, which is Kevin Bacon's wife.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's Kevin Bacon's daughter that's in that movie.
Oh, you know what? I am going to look this up right now because that is not information you can drop and us not address it. Sosie Bacon. Yeah, I'm going to go with that's Kevin Bacon's daughter. The other actress, the one that's on the poster and probably the one you see smiling everywhere, Caitlin Stacy. She's so pretty, but she's so creepy looking.
There was another movie you watched besides Smile. What was it? What was that film?
Before I even mention this film, I don't remember you ever trying to tell me to watch this. Have you? Because you were so excited. You're like, finally, you've seen it. And I'm like, wait, you've recommended a million movies to me, so I can't say you didn't. But is this something that you were like, you're going to like this?
I think at one point in time, I might have mentioned in passing that I'll at least the first movie in the series.
Okay. Now, I have a bit of disappointing news. I did not see the first one because talking to the tattoo artist, he's like, hey, have you seen The Babysitter? This was after I had gotten over the Smile. And I think the distraction of the scary movies, because I was enjoying the kills so much, he was like, oh, this is awesome because I was clearly in pain, but I wasn't complaining. And in fact, Smile, I don't think I laughed once in Smile. I was more irritated at no one believing her. But in The Babysitter, Killer Queen, excuse me.
Killer
Queen. I was laughing so much, and I had overall just an amazing time watching this film. But I told him, I was like, do I need to watch the first one to understand what's going on in the second one? The answer is yes and no. I guess, you kind of would have gotten the breakdown.
You have more of a connection to Samara Weaving's character that comes in toward the end, but that's the only real thing that you really need.
Yeah, and now was the only question I have was the scary nurse that gave, I guess Samara gave her demonic possession, if you will. Was she in the first movie or was she just in the second movie? Was that just to explain how she?
I think it was in the second movie because in the first movie, I'll just give you the gist of the setup in the first movie. the main character, the boy that's in the second one,
Mm-hmm.
he's in love, and he was also in this great movie called Summer of '84. But anyways, like he's he's in love with his babysitter. I mean, as young boys, that are entering puberty are.
Oh, and she's a freaking supermodel. There's that.
yeah, and she's gorgeous. But one night, whenever he's supposed to be, like just staying home, and he's just getting a little too old for it, but I mean, he thinks he's going to try to make a move on her. She invites all these friends over, and it just so happens that she is, they've all made like this deal with Satan that they'll get whatever they want as long as they sacrifice a virgin, and he just happens to be one. And so he spends the rest of the movie basically trying to get away from them, but also trying to kill them because they won't they keep coming after him.
Yeah.
And the second movie picks up from that and just kind of runs with it.
Okay, so it was perfect. And my tattoo artist does agree with you. He was like, I don't really think you need to watch the first one to understand the second. He geared me towards the second one a little bit more, probably because he wanted to see our one and only Wednesday Addams. AKA, oh God, why can't I think of the actress right now?
Jenna Ortega.
I should know that. Shame on me. But so enjoyable movie from beginning to end. Horror, rom-com, and that's my jam. It really is.
And it's got a lot of comedy, especially with, and I'm blanking on her name, but the semi-porn actress, the redhead that they have in the movie that plays, she wants to be like a newscaster or whatever, but she's dumb as rocks, and she's hilarious.
Yes. So the cast, which I was enjoying all of the cast. Okay, so you're talking about oh God, why can't I? Bella Thorne.
Bella Thorne, yes.
And it's talking about how she's kind of a hoe bag to the tattoo artist. Emily Ellen Lind, who played Melanie in The Babysitter, the first and the second one, because she was in both. She reminds me of the wife of the paraplegic in Family Guy. She just has that look, or any hot girl that's ever in Family Guy. It's like the same drawing, if you will. She's got that look.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yes. Samara Weaving reminds me of, who's the actress that played, I don't even know if you would think about it without me even giving you any clue. She looks like another actress, really gorgeous, tall, blonde actress. Can you think of any similar actresses? If not, I'll tell you.
Not off the top of my head. I don't know where you're going with that one.
Okay. Let me see if I can just get the actress's name. Well, okay. It did. Oh yeah, Margot Robbie. There it goes.
Oh, okay.
Does she not?
Kind of see that.
Okay, I thought it was Margot Robbie at first.
But my biggest issue with Samara Weaving is I've seen The Lord of the Rings too many times.
Oh, okay.
She looks a lot like her dad, Hugo Weaving.
God.
Like the Elrond. I mean, a pretty female version. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of similarities between the two of them.
Robbie Amell, who is Stephen Amell's brother.
A cousin, I think.
Oh,
it's his
cousin.
At least, according to when he was on Arrow, I remember the two of them, and I thought with the last name, but no, he's like a cousin to him.
Okay,
like first cousin, though. I mean, they look alike.
Yeah, he's like a mixture. If Tom Cruise and Stephen Amell had a baby. But I loved all the characters. I liked how the guys were dumb, the girls were dumb, or whenever they had their smart moments. Leslie Bibb, I could not watch her without thinking that she was Ricky Bobby's wife. Carly Bobby.
Here's something that always cracks me up about this movie and the first one. So Hannah Mae Lee, who plays Sonia in it, she is in Pitch Perfect.
Okay.
And if you watch those movies, there's the through line in them that she is, and it plays out through all three of them because she gets like deep, like the possession leaves her in the third movie. But it's hinted at that she's like possessed by a demon. And it's just hilarious seeing her in this because it's almost like it's the same character.
Yeah.
Just,
She is possessed by a demon. Yes, so we were not going to have a cold open. We were not, that wasn't the plan. We were going to get straight to the Christmas films, but it's rare that I watch horror films in between, and it was like, oh, we have to talk about this.
Yeah, and I mean, I've had to hear your takes on them because I mean, like you said, I've heard so many people trying to give shit to Smile, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand it. It was one of my favorites of this year, and it's been a good year for horror movies. I
It
mean, it really
has.
has.
Yeah. So, yeah, unofficial review of both of those movies is I loved them both, especially, I mean, I loved Smile for the scares. I loved The Babysitter, Killer Queen for the kills and which is definitely a slasher film. Definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
And the cheesy jokes, the comedy, basically the rom-com. I didn't care so much about the romance. In fact, I must have gone to the bathroom room. We must have been taking a break when I did not even notice that Cody had lost his virginity. So
Yeah, I think it's like a last minute thing that they crawl inside a place long enough or something, which is similar to that old Jim Carrey movie,
Yes.
Was Bitten, because like toward the end of that movie, she's going to drain him of all his blood, and then his girlfriend's like, "The fuck you are," and they hop in a coffin.
Yeah.
And like 30 seconds later, it's like, "Can't get that virgin blood now."
yeah, that's exactly what I told my tattoo artist, and he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Okay, I know you know this movie because you're like just 2-3 years older than me." So. Shout out to Mario if he's listening to us because I was telling him about the podcast. So,
I did watch one that I didn't include on the last podcast called Perfect Blue. I mean, I'm not going to bring up much about it, other than the fact that I was surprised when I started reading about it that it was like the movie that inspired, and talking about inspirations. It inspired Black Swan, like almost to the point of it being a ripoff, or Black Swan being a ripoff of Perfect Blue. And Perfect Blue, for anybody that doesn't know, is actually an anime that came out in like the late 90s, I believe it was. Total mindfuck of a film. It's definitely a human horror. So,
oh yeah, it's called a psychological thriller.
yeah, there's a lot. There's a crazy stalker slash slasher in the movie that may or may not be real. So I mean, you're kind of going through all that kind of thing with it. It's pretty well done. And hearing the director go over it after the fact and reveal all of his, like, because he had a good point. He's like, if you have a regular movie, he said you can have happy little mistakes where maybe like a cloud like looks like some kind of thing visually that, you know, is a symbol that's representing the movie. But he said, when you make an anime, you choose what goes in that. You choose what they look like. So he said, if anime is done right, every single frame will have a significant meaning to the plot and to the actual overall theme of the story. And it blew my mind because he started talking about even these fish that she has in her aquarium, like, are symbolic of like something about her. So I'm like, damn, like this guy knows his shit.
Just so you know, I mean, not that you would be surprised, but across the board, we're talking about Google, IMDb, anime review, and Rotten Tomatoes. All of them 80 to 85%. So it's averaging about 80%, we'll say, across the board. Google users all gave it a 95%. Everyone who's rated this film. So this is highly recommended by everyone, it looks like.
Yeah, it's I mean, even if you don't like anime, it's not one of those goofy like woo-woo animes that they make fun of all the time on TikTok. It's a legit movie. I mean, and there's a lot of thought put behind everything in it. So
that's pretty awesome.
The only other thing I was going to mention besides that is that, speaking of TikTok, I just like a couple of days ago saw like some kind of TikTok supposed like psychologist talking about how people who watch horror films, it's like their way of coping with high levels of anxiety. And like, you know, she went on to say that because people started pointing out, it's like, why would I watch something that makes me anxious to deal with my anxiety? And she's like, well, actually what you're doing is that you're looking for comfort, and your body is used to anxiety. So it looks for anxious things that makes you anxious. So you watching a horror film is like you're taking your body back to its natural state, which is, you know, or something to that effect. And I'm like, I don't know if any of this bullshit's true, but I mean, I do relax quite a bit to horror films. So,
yeah.
You know,
do you think that it's like a coping mechanism? Because we, for the most part, the way that you and I seem to function and how we deal with stressful situations, we fucking get through it. Whereas everybody else, you see them posting, oh my God, can I just catch a break in life? Oh my God, why can't things just be so easy? And that's never anything. We're just like, okay, let's just, and not saying that we're great or anything. It's just like we soldier on. And I'm like, is that because we Is it because of the horror film? Are we able? Is it because we're witnessing people that soldier on in these films? You know.
I think that has something to do with it. I think it's, when you're watching movies like this, I mean, you're seeing people in their worst time of their lives there, and they're trying to cope with it, and you're kind of in there and you're in the mix with them. And so it gives you a little bit better. I mean, even if it doesn't give you better overall view, that kind of lets you step back and say, okay, this, is not the biggest problem ever, like some people freak out about. It gives you those, like, it gives you, it's almost like a aversion therapy. It's like you've seen so much of it that, I mean, not in a bad way, but you're almost numb to some of it. It's like, okay, I've seen, bad enough things. We're fine. This is fine.
Well, we do joke consistently that we're numb.
That meme with a dog that's in the burning cafe,
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, that's not a joke. That's a real thing. I don't know. I think that it makes some sense. And then it's also a good way kind of like to go behind what you just said of, well, I thought I was having a bad day, but I'm not being chased by a serial killer.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking to that, let's open this up and let's get into this.
All right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Death Holler. I'm your host, the Reverend Dr. Death, and joining me, as always, is the crazed Santa cosplaying killer that lives in my attic, Llareyna. How many carolers did you slay last night, Llareyna?
Slay all day. None that I'm aware of or that I will admit to. So there's that.
Yeah, that keeps the cops away, at least. That's a good way to think about it.
Well, apparently, according to this movie, they're not going to find me in the attic anyway. So, spoiler alert.
Well, that's true. They won't scour the house. They won't find where the bodies are at.
It's fine. This is fine. Everything's fine.
It's Christmas time again, and what better way to celebrate than to discuss a few Christmas-themed slashers? Tonight, we will be reviewing the movie that is considered by many to be the first ever slasher, as well as a couple of Santa-themed slashers from the 80s. Hang your stockings by the chimney with care, and pray you aren't on Santa's naughty list, or else this will be a night you'll soon regret. This episode, we are breaking down Black Christmas and Silent Night, Deadly Night, and its sequel. First up, if you are enjoying the podcast, we would appreciate it if you would take the time to like, comment, and subscribe on whatever podcast platform you prefer. It helps us get more visibility on podcast listings and helps us grow. Also, consider following us on social media. You can find us at TikTok and Twitter under Death Holler Pod, and we can be found on Instagram and Facebook under Death Holler Podcast. We appreciate everyone who listens and hope you enjoy the show. Now, let's attack some bees.
What is that? What is that? What is it? Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees! Ah! Open my eyes!
I would be agreeing with the great Nicolas Cage right now, but this movie has a lot of boobies in it, so not my eyes. Don't Open Till Christmas from 1984.
With a lot of boobies? It sounds like a movie that Donnie G watched and is going to review. I think you downloaded the wrong movie.
By the way, I didn't ask you, does he have one for this episode?
I don't think so. At least I don't remember.
Okay, I didn't remember seeing anything either. I just want to make sure there's plenty enough boobs from the movies we're discussing that he can take a week off, so we're fine. Yeah,
that or, he could actually watch one of the regular films and have plenty to talk about.
That's true. He could have done a rating for us on these.
Yeah.
Don't Open Till Christmas, directed by Edmund Purdom, written by Alan Birkinshaw and Derek Ford, music by Des Dolan. Principal players, Edmund Purdom, the director, playing one of the main characters, Inspector Harris. who's a detective at New Scotland Yard trying to solve the Santa Claus killer killing spree that's going on in old London town. We have Alan Lake playing Giles. Says he's a newspaper columnist, but he's sus as hell. So don't trust that guy. We have Belinda Main playing Kate. She sees her father in full Santa getup get a spear through his head at a Christmas party and spends the rest of the movie trying to find his killer.
All right.
Mark Jones, Detective Sergeant Powell, is working with Harris to find the killer. Seems to give more of a shit about actually doing that job than the Inspector Harris is, by the way. We have Jerry Sundquist playing Cliff Boyd, boyfriend to Kate. Thinks the best way to help Kate move on from her father's death is to take her to a Christmas-themed porn shoot. So,
okay. Watch your father get speared in the head and watch a woman give somebody some head.
Yeah, and in a Santa outfit. That's just what you want to see after, your father was killed in a Santa Claus costume.
She's getting speared.
The symbolism, I can't take it.
Oh my God.
Kelly Baker playing Experience Girl, which is code word for stripper. But in this case, she's the final girl as well. So the final girl's a stripper in this movie. You got to give them credit for that.
Okay, so she's a stripper girl. She's not a porn star.
No, this is actually a different woman.
Okay.
The one who I'm getting ready to say. Pat Astley plays Sharon, who is the porn actress, is down to get with Cliff and or Kate. She hints that she would get with both of them if Kate was willing.
Oh, okay.
She dresses in a Santa outfit at the wrong time, and she's a contender with Linnea Quigley for the most time topless spent in a film that we're discussing this evening.
That has got to be uncomfortable.
I don't know who beat who on this, but both of them showed their tits through like at least 5 to 10 minutes of the movie. So good on them, I guess.
Wait, okay, when was this movie made?
1984.
84. Okay, that was a time of boobies, as we're clearly witnessing. Me, so more than anything, but like some of these women, like to this day, will admit I was perfectly comfortable. I was perfectly fine. I wonder how many were just like, I needed a paycheck and like I was not comfortable, but I made it happen. You know?
Yeah, you wonder how many err on the side of being like Janet Leigh or whatever from, or versus Linnea Quigley, who was perfectly fine to get nude in all of her films because she knew what she had going on. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's why the good Lord did not give me my body till my older age, because he knew I would be a ho-ho-hoing anywhere.
In some kind of Christmas-themed slasher movie, that's right.
Speaking of ho-ho-ho, the hubby just walked in. You gonna join us, baby? All right. He's not here. All right, go ahead.
Synopsis: It's Christmas time in old London town, but there's a killer on the loose, and he seems to have it out for Santa Claus. Scotland Yard struggles to put an end to the murders as the corpse count continues to climb. Spears fly through heads. Santa peens are severed. And they are, believe me. And chestnuts won't be the only thing roasting on an open fire. This Christmas, it's Santa who better watch out.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, all the Santas in this movie, by the way, are all like wretched drunks or bums.
Oh, shit.
And it makes it that much funnier that they're all getting killed. And there's some pretty good kills in the movie. I got to give them credit for that. I mean, they just out of nowhere, the killer comes out with the razor blade and just slices one's, dick off as they're taking a piss in a urinal. There you go. I mean, that's what they do.
What the fuck? You look confused, babe. This is Attack of the Bees movie.
What's the movie?
It's called Reverend. Can you give us the
Don't Open Till Christmas?
I've never seen it.
It's a B movie, lots of boobies. Bees.
If I had to describe it, it's technically a slasher, but it is heavily modeled after those giallos that we just got through covering. Because I mean, the killer wears one of those masks that almost looks like the mask that the girl wears in Alice Sweet Alice. So it's kind of a weird in between movie, to be honest with you. But it has all the tropes. It even has a final girl. Like I said, she's a stripper, which is forward thinking but this was made in Britain. So their concept of a slasher wasn't exactly what the Reagan era American ones were. So that's probably why they went that route with it. Nick Cage rating for this, I'll give it a honeymoon Vegas. It's okay for what it is. There's a few highlights here and there. Like I said, I like the kills, plenty of boobies if you're looking for that. It kind of drags though. Got to be honest, in the middle especially. It's one of those things where it's like when the kills come up, they kind of give little highlights, and the ending's really, really strange. Like the director, he was getting a little too uppity or whatever toward the end. He was like trying to make it a little too artsy for what the movie was, I felt. So, but there's, but that's basically what it is. It's all right. I mean, with a few highlights here and there.
I love Honeymoon in Vegas.
I'm going to give a shout out, though, another Nick Cage rating. It doesn't apply to this movie, but I'm going to give the Lord of War rating to the U.S. government. And if anybody wants to research that, they can do it at their own time. I'm just going to say that they have conducted the most famous WNBA trade in human history. So there you go. Congrats, U.S. government. You did a great job to somebody.
Good Lord.
So we're ready to move on. I mean, since Donnie G's kind of had to, go off on his a little Christmas break. So, I mean, we're ready to move into the first movie. I'm ready. If you are.
Yeah, spending sweet quality family time with the wife after a recent discovery of his wrongfully downloaded movies. We're sure it was a mistake.
Yeah, surely you've heard from him since then, right?
I don't think I'm sure he's fine. Everything's fine.
Okay. Yeah, it's fine. This is fine. Yeah. First movie discussion this evening is Black Christmas.
That's so incredibly racist.
From 1974, we will get into the two remakes, but a little bit. But primarily, we're discussing the original. Directed by Bob Clark, who is also famous for another Christmas movie. Do you know what he directed other than this?
No, I didn't research.
A Christmas Story.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm dead serious.
Oh, man.
Written by Roy Moore, music by Carl Zitterer. It was made on a budget of $620,000 US, made $18.5 million.
Wait. What? Repeat that.
$620,000 US to make, and it was it ended up its box office take was $18.5 million.
Okay, not shabby at all, but definitely not Bay of Blood profits.
No, it's not Bay of Blood numbers by any means. That movie, there's that line from Dogma where somebody, and this is Christmas themed, somebody it's Salma Hayek, or demonic goddess from Dusk Till Dawn, and she's talking about, she's supposed to be amusing the movie, and she talks about all the top grossing movies that she helped inspire, and somebody mentions Home Alone to her, and she's like no, she's like that was Satan. She's like, I wouldn't put my talent behind that piece of shit. So
whoa. Tell us how you really feel.
So I'm thinking that she was not the muse for Bay of Blood. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So, principal players for Black Christmas, we have Olivia Hussey. Yeah, what a name. She plays Jess in the movie, who is our first official final girl, everybody.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
She is the very first final girl. Very non-traditional, though. I mean, because she's definitely not a virgin. That's one of the plot points in the movie. And she, even talks about having an abortion. I mean, you wouldn't have that going on in, Reagan, era America and get by with it. And she mistakenly kills the wrong slasher or the wrong stalker at the end of the movie.
Or did she?
I didn't realize this until after I started researching the movie she was in, but she was actually in Stephen King's It, the 1990 one with Tim Curry.
Wait. Say that again?
She was in Stephen King's It, the 1990 miniseries that had Tim Curry as Pennywise.
Okay, miniseries. Yeah. Oh, yeah, wait. Who was she?
She was the wife to Bill Denborough.
Okay.
That at the end of the movie, whenever she's caught in the deadlights, he has to ride her on his bicycle and, try to bring her back.
Okay.
He had to give her a pump.
She is a very prolific voice actress, though. She's been in Star Wars and DC animated films, to name a few. So she's done quite a bit of work since then.
Yeah.
And I totally forgot about this until after I started researching, but we just discussed her in another podcast this season. She was the very, very gross mother in Psycho 4, the beginning, the TV movie, where she played the very pedophilic Norma Bates in that one, the one that was having her son like ice her down and everything.
Brody.
And she played in a, I believe it was like early 2000s slasher movie called Ice Cream Man that had Clint Howard in it, Ron Howard's brother.
Okay.
We have Kira Dulea, who plays Peter, Jess's boyfriend and baby daddy, the red herring of the movie. And he just should have stopped stalking.
Yeah.
I mean, you keep stalking, you get, you fuck around and find out. That's what happened to him. So.
I did some research on this one because, I mean, this is common, especially back in these days of the films, that there's a huge age difference between the actors. And I don't know that there is or isn't with this particular actress and, Olivia Hussey and Keira Dulea. But he looks... I thought for a minute he was like a professor at the college, and he is not. He was definitely a student.
Well, he's been there for 8 years.
Yes, I know that. That's why I thought I thought he was part of the department for eight years. And I thought that piano concerto he was doing was him trying to get out of there. But
which piano concerto? The one where he's actually playing the song, or the one where he was like beating it to death with the music stand?
Well, beating it with the music stand was way better than the actual concerto he performed for the three guys. So just had a better tone to it, it had a little bass to it.
It was a little bit more upbeat, jazzy type.
So
thing.
yeah, the only thing I didn't research was how much older this actor is compared to the actress, because he, like I said, he looked like a professor. He was not. He was, sir, you are too wrinkled to be a student.
He was in some famous movies other than this. He was in 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh wow,
that's his big role. And that's the reason they wanted him in this. Actually, Bob Clark liked his role in that so much that, and it just, I mean, in this a little bit in the trivia section, but it just so happened that Keir lived, like his family lived like right next door to where they were filming anyway. So he was just like, yeah, I want to go visit my parents. I'll do your movie. That's literally how he got in this.
Oh my God. Okay, wait, I got to pause. We have got our answer. Keira Dulea is 16 years older than Olivia Hussey.
Yeah.
So there we go.
That makes it even more creepy that he's sitting there telling her all this stuff. It's like, you're going to do this. You're going to keep the baby. You're going to drop out of school. And it's
yeah, but in the film, he's actually playing a student. He just wasn't playing a convincing student because he wasn't.
No, he wasn't. If you take the position, maybe he started going to college like around his early 20s, and he's been there for 8 years. To put someone who's in his 30s and say she just got out of school and she's going to the university, that kind of actually makes a little more sense.
I mean, yeah, that would make sense. Of course, none of that is explained, so that's just us trying to explain it away. He was looking middle-aged.
It explains why he was desperate. Like, we're going to settle down.
Well, that's true. I mean, let's admit it. Olivia Hussey is beautiful in this movie.
She's beautiful and naturally beautiful, too, so.
Yeah. He was also on The Thin Red Line from 1964, played Desaid in one of the movies, so that's funny that he played a character like that. It was in a ton of TV roles, and he's in a 2022 short film called Sonder. I don't know what that's about, but I just thought that's interesting that he's still, acting this many years on. So we have Margot Kidder playing Barb, the chain-smoking booze hound, here for a good time, not a long time. And, of course, anybody who knows, Margot Kidder was in the Superman movies, the Richard Donner ones. She played Lois Lane. And she was in the Amityville Horror, the 1979 one. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. She was in an episode of Smallville.
Shocker.
Yeah, they got back all the old Superman people for that.
Yeah, they did.
and she was tons of other TV, including Outer Limits and Tales from the Crypt.
The real question is, did she get part of the sex cult?
No. That wasn't all of Smallville.
No, she wasn't in. I can't remember the name of that now. The Nexium, was that the name of the cult? It always blows my mind because that's the name of a stomach medication. So every time I hear it, I'm just like I can't associate the two. It's just too weird.
On a side tangent of Nexium, well, not Nexium, but the actress. We're not going to bring up her name or anything because I shouldn't even be discussing it. But it's crazy to see, and it's not necessarily a lie, but they talk like all the time in the Smallville podcast how great of an actress she was and how professional she was, and I think it just blows their mind that much more at how this all came to be. They're like, she really could have gone somewhere.
She did. She started a sex cult. That's how convincing she was.
If you worked with somebody and you were really close, because I mean they had to be on the type of scheduling that because I mean you hear that all the time from Tom Welling about how many hours that he worked in particular. It was like 16 hours a day or more.
Yeah,
you're with somebody that long and they turn into a cult member later. That's going to blow your mind. I don't know how a person deals with that. Like I mean that's a crazy thing to think about.
Yeah.
You're there with that person. You're in the same situation that they are. Maybe not outside of work, but they didn't have that much time outside of work. So what? I mean, it's they're one step removed from the cult themselves.
Yeah.
Anyways, getting back to Margot Kidder. Margot Kidder there's a joke on, I believe it's Family Guy, where she's like, I believe it's supposed to be her. She's like, goes batshit crazy and like jumps out of a window when she's talking to Peter and like just freaks out and runs through the yard, like jabbering to herself. She actually had a lot of mental problems in her life. And she suffered from bipolar schizophrenia and committed suicide in 2018.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Too bad Superman didn't save her.
Oh, what if she thought, like, she's like, okay, jump out, he's going to catch me, and he didn't. Because her schizophrenia told her, not because she wanted to die, okay?
I got to give her credit, though. I loved her character in this movie.
Yeah.
I really did. John Saxon plays Lieutenant Ken Fuller, the detective trying to find Claire and discover who's taking the obscene phone calls. John Saxon got cast as a cop in so many movies in the 80s which is later than this, that I don't know if it's from this movie or if he was typecast in this movie too, but like he's in Nightmare on Elm Street 1 and 3, and he's playing Nancy's dad, and he's a cop in that. I mean, he's in Enter the Dragon, Nightmare Beach, From Dusk Till Dawn, and Tenebrae, which is another of Dario Argento's giallos that he cast. So I mean, John Saxon was in a lot of stuff.
He looks like he belonged in a gelato.
He's a man, and dude, and Enter the Dragon, he was slaying Wussy the whole movie.
Oh my god. Better?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yay! Fun how you get kicked out, but yeah, my mic gets muted.
Yeah, but my internet decided to boot me, so there we were.
That's what I was wondering. That was fun. I don't think that. Wait, the actor that you're talking about, is he still alive?
John Saxon, I don't think so.
He heard you. He didn't like what you were saying. Or me, maybe.
We were talking good about him.
It was me. He got mad at me.
But what I was saying at the time that it completely booted me, because I could still hear you guys, was we have Marion Waldman playing Mrs. Mack, the sorority mother in the closet drunk.
Hell yeah, she was a riot.
Yeah, and she was. You're absolutely
had a
right.
Bottle of booze everywhere in that house.
Everywhere.
Like,
and it was sherry. What is sherry? Why don't I know about this?
It's like a wine.
Yeah, it's kind of like a wine that they use to cook with more than anything, but you can still get drunk off of it.
Okay, that's what I was confused about, because I'm like, isn't that something like used in like desserts or something like that? The answer to that is probably yes, but it can also be so much more.
Yeah, she was definitely a highlight of this movie. We have Andrea Martin playing Phil, the funny sorority member.
Was she funny?
And well, she wasn't, but everybody on the cast, like in the stuff after, was talking about how she was always like cracking them up with jokes off to the side, but they never really brought that in the movie. She was just kind of there, I felt like, in this one.
Oh,
Which
okay.
one
We'll
is
take your word for it. It's
Is
the
that
one
with the Jufro?
Yes, with the Jufro.
Yes. She was in Cannibal Girls, the Ivan Reitman's first film, the one that's actually playing in Ghostbusters at one point in time. Black Christmas 26 or the 2006. She played the sorority mother, Mrs. Mack, in that version, so she actually came back.
I watched that last night. I didn't realize that was her. She looks 100% different.
She looks better, actually,
Yeah.
with age. It's true. She really did.
She got a hair situation under control. Got it like nice and styled. Dropped some pounds.
Didn't look like she had a ball of pubes on her head.
No, she did not. She's also currently in Only Murders in the Building on Hulu, and in Evil, the TV series. And she's done a ton of voice acting and other TV roles. She was actually in Goof Troop, of all things. Weird stuff.
Oh,
Freakazoid back in the day.
Goof Troop, that brings back some crazy memories.
We have Lynn Griffin playing Claire Harrison, Billy's first victim. Would have been the final girl in any other slasher after Halloween, but the rules hadn't been set yet.
I got to ask a question because I feel like an idiot right now. Billy was a hockey player.
No.
Who is Billy?
Billy is do we want to say it so soon?
Unofficially the name they gave to the killer. He doesn't. Nobody knows what his name is.
Okay.
But he keeps saying Billy. He's like, that's the only name that he mentions other than Agnes.
Which, that's a whole backstory. So
okay, I'm retarded then.
No, you're not, because I thought the same thing too. I actually had to research it. So.
But anyway, yeah, Lynn would have been the final girl in any other slasher after Halloween. But like I said, the rules hadn't been set yet. And she's, I feel like she's kind of an homage to Norma Bates because like she's just caught in that perpetual death scream in the attic the entire movie, like keeps going back to her, which I think gets creepier as the movie goes along.
Okay,
actually.
But would she have been? I know it does, which is fucking hilarious. And I like how they used it as the movie poster. But would she have been the perpetual, like, final girl? Because it is heavily implied that she was into some shit based off the posters that were in her room.
the posters are pretty good. I like the old lady that was flipping you off. That was pretty good.
The flip off was funny. And then I liked how the sorority mom was trying to cover up the statues having sex.
Yeah, the naked asses that were on the wall or whatever. On the door. You don't see this. I know you're a dad, but you don't need to be looking at this. And then we have Doug McGrath playing Sergeant Nash, who doesn't know what fellatio means.
He was dumb as the day is long.
There's certain scenes in this movie that, I mean, I can see how Bob Clark can go from something like this to A Christmas Story where there's more humor in it because the guy had natural talent when it came to comedy. Like, the scene with the fellatio, the scene with Barb when she's talking about the turtles going at it and it took them 3 days and how she got tired of waiting for them and went and watched the giraffes because they premature ejaculation, all that stuff in the movie. And there was another one I was thinking of. Just, I mean, there's, the scene toward the end of the movie where, I mean, and it needed it too. That's one thing that I upon a second viewing that I loved about it because the movie starts getting really tense about halfway through, and he perfectly breaks the tension by having this scene in the police station where this old farmer has shot one of the cops in the ass with birdshot, and then they're having to pick it out. That was great. And he tells the cop, he's like, come back on my property, I'm going to give you the gun, and it's going to be shoved up your ass sideways.
It definitely, it needed something. Comedy relief definitely works, so I'll give it that. Because I wouldn't say it was dragging, but I don't know. I was kind of like, oh, okay, where are we going?
It pick me up. It does help in that sense, but it also helps too because it not only the thing about tension breakers is that they also help to serve the other purpose in a movie. Whereas, like, if you're constantly exposed to the horror in the movie, you grow numb to it. Whereas if you have a little bit of a tension, relief, then your body's like, okay, I can relax. And then it's like, bam, you get hit again with it. So
it's like adding
it
a little bit of salt to a sugary recipe or baking dessert. Like it brings out the sweetness a little more.
Yeah, just a little bit more of the taste comes through because you've got something to compare it to. So, synopsis. During a sorority Christmas celebration, a perverted serial killer climbs into the attic and begins his killing spree. The disappearance of the virginal Claire galvanizes the community into a frantic search, struggling to find some evidence as to what happened. One by one, the sorority sisters are picked off, not knowing the killer is living amongst them. Bodies are kept as trophies, old drunks get hooked like alcoholic fish, and a love-smitten boyfriend picks the wrong time to turn all emo stalker. If this movie doesn't make your skin crawl, it's on too tight. That's actually a tagline from the movie. I thought it was pretty damn good.
Oh, my God. I'll slap you.
You know the part I didn't get that I wish they didn't do it because I feel like it ruined the movie at the very end, was when they're zooming out and it shows a picture of the girl in the attic, and then I had the realization that everybody that was outside could see her easily.
Oh, yeah. If they just
were
looked
looking from a certain angle, that I can see that.
Maybe it's like when we're at Universal Studios and we're looking for Mrs. Bates, and you have to like really go back to kind of see at the angle, and you can't tell she's alive or dead.
I know, but if everybody's so frantic looking for these people,
yeah,
it kind of destroys that because it's visible from the street.
Well, what town was this? Do we know what town they were in?
It's in Canada.
They're all
that's
stupid.
where they filmed
Canadians.
it at.
Yeah. What you talking about?
The one thing that I'll give, it's a headcanon. And I agree with you what you're saying. No, I can't dispute that. But through most of the movie, everybody's got their eyes on the ground. They're like looking for the killer outside, so they're not even looking toward the house. Now, at the end, you're right. They, I don't understand at the end also why they didn't do a total sweep of the house before they even, tried to round up the bodies. That you would have thought that'd been the first thing they would have done, but. I don't know, maybe that, with the red herring, dead, they didn't feel like they needed to search any farther, whatever.
Okay. This is where that consistency falls apart, because they went as far as to tap the phones, but at the end, did nobody sweep the house?
Yeah. It's coming from within the house.
Yeah.
Well, that's because, no, it doesn't fall apart because I think that the ending kind of.
No, because they would have went through the house. They would look for all the phones in the house, because if it's coming from the house, they would have tried to figure out why. Was there a phone in the attic? Like, they would have started looking in those places.
I mean, it's the 1980s. They weren't when I listened to some of the death podcasts or the murder podcasts.
The phone lines.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying if you listen to some of the murder podcasts, I listen to them all the time. The stupid mistakes. Now, I don't even know if they're mistakes. Stupid mistakes that some of the police made, or some of the stuff they just overlooked. It's insane. You're like, how did you fucking miss that?
That's actually a good point, because cops being people too, there are certain points in some investigations where they are so fed up, they're just so ready for it to, the killer to be caught, that sometimes the killer's identity gets fabricated, and they find a scapegoat. Not saying, not intentionally, but they're like the person who fits it best, even if there's not enough evidence in this, or it's like, okay, it has to be them. Let's solve this.
Oh, this movie could have been a perfect episode of Making a Murderer.
And so I could see it getting to the point where it's just like, okay, we've been through the middle of this one, like, but at the same time, there's a little bit of a stretch there. And I get it, so I can't totally fault that.
What was I going to say in regards to that? The cops already, just looking at how frantic the station was and them just trying to get any kind of help, being told on the phone, look, there's probably nothing we can do. I mean, granted, that's just a stupid cop that's answering the phone that doesn't know no good. But even the cops, they look like they're fucking over it. They all look like they're fucking over it.
Well, that one cop, the desk guy, was a fucking moron.
Yes, I did mention that.
I love that scene. It's like, for love of God, do not tell her anything. Just tell her to get out of the house, and I will kill you if you do otherwise. And of course, first
there's a killer in the house.
The killer's in the house. Get out.
I mean, but we all knew that was going to happen. The guy's going to fuck up the whole movie.
Yeah. I mean, it was appropriate to his character. It stayed within like
between
his
the fellatio and then like the whole the address and then where it pinned at, and that guy at every fucking turn dropped the ball.
Okay, maybe I'm saying this because I've seen the movie. I doubt it. The only time I would run upstairs to save somebody if I was told the killer was in the house, or if my children were in the house. Completely different. Now, if I get a call from the cops that have my home phone, which that's not a thing, tells me that, hey, these weird calls are coming from within your house, everyone for themselves, I will see you outside. Like, you don't even know where everybody's at. Let's be honest. Like, there's nobody making room. You know when your roommates are home during the day, so I don't think it would have been any different if he had been like, hey, we think the calls are coming from within your house to, hey, the killer's in your house. Get the fuck out.
I don't fault him for saying, because she clearly was not listening to him.
Yeah.
Didn't listen to him after the fact either. But this establishes this being the very first slasher period, this also establishes another tradition in the genre of some character at some point in the movie, not always the final girl, but a lot of times doing something so stupid that you're like, why are you still alive?
Yeah.
And that was Jess at the end of the movie. It's like, for the love of God, don't go upstairs.
She's a lucky final girl at best.
Yes. Speaking of that, body count in this movie is 7 for those keeping count. It's Claire, Mrs. Mack, the undisclosed child that they found in the park, the teenager, Barb, Phil, Officer Jennings, the guy who was watching outside and had his throat slashed, and then Peter, of course, but he was not technically killed by Billy. He was killed by Jess.
Yeah, that guy was a moron. It's like, dude, that seems over the top creepy. What the fuck are you doing?
Yes, it's like, I'm going to stand outside your house in the. You imagine a Canadian winter, and this guy is standing outside for hours. There's multiple scenes of him just sitting like under a tree out there. Like, what?
Yeah,
he's clearly got problems. Like, I mean, speaking of that, I mean, we'll get in discussion of the movie. You talk about creepy. I thought that the best thing in this movie, besides Claire's like perpetual death scream, which kept getting better the more they showed it, that scene where Billy is right behind the damn door and all you can see is his eyes, and he starts, at that, and then him running down the stairs, because there's not many slashers outside of, it's still a proto slasher, Chainsaw, which we'll discuss here soon, where the killer is like so deliberately like running like that, like a madman at them. I mean, like you get later on in the series, the killers know they're going to get them, the people they're trying to kill anyway, so they take their time. Like, you have Michael Myers, you have Jason, Freddy, they're slow about it. But like in this movie, this guy was booking it down there, and that kind of creeped me out. I'm like, damn, that's different, versus the normal way to do it.
Yeah.
And then he like grabs her by the hair and like was freaking out and like making all those sounds and everything.
Yeah, I was like, I was having a hard time wondering if the phone calls they were getting were actually from presumably Billy, or if it was just actual prank calls and then Billy was just a separate killer. Because
according to Bob Clark, it was Billy, because they recorded that he got somebody to do the voice of Billy. That's not who actually did the actual physical work, but they did get somebody just for Billy's voice, so it was supposed to be him.
Yeah, I know that now, but I just find it, because
that would have been a good play on it if it was actually other frat houses,
like somebody else.
Yeah, and then every once in a while that goofy fucker would call in.
Yeah, well, and then here's the thing is that when you hear him in the attic, he just sounds like, for lack of a better word, a retard. He's making grunts and noises, and he's not. And
he's doing he's doing a little creepy. He does, at one point in the movie, he does that little creepy like children's rhyme. It's like baby bunting, gun hunting, and all that. So
he couldn't be that retarded. He killed a house full of women.
Let's be honest, they were women.
Did you all notice like him in the background of a lot of shots, like his shadow? Did you see that throughout the movie where you're looking for it?
I'll be honest, I did not catch that.
There's a part where the Jufro girl and the final girl are sitting on a couch, and there's a shadow behind almost behind like a door, and like both of them are oblivious to it.
I completely missed it. I'll be honest. There's
another scene, and it's toward the top of the stairs, and I think it's like Jess is there. I don't know where Phil, the Jufro, as you're talking, I don't know where she's at that point in the movie. She might have already been killed, but Jess is there, and you see somebody's shadow at the top of the stairwell, but then like something happens and it like moves away, but it's right behind her at that point too.
Wow. Wow.
There's some thought put into that. I mean, it's a decent setup for the movie, I thought. What'd y'all think about the overall, like taking that urban legend about the babysitter getting the phone calls from inside the house and like applying it to a movie?
I thought it was awesome. I didn't realize they could trace calls back then like that.
That was crazy too. I was going to bring that up. I'm glad you mentioned that. Like, how crazy was that scene where he was having to run an entire length of the building just to track down where the phone? I mean, that's just nuts watching that now.
How about the fact nobody else is there helping?
That's true.
It's a murder case. Nobody else is going to help. Like, what?
Yeah, he's got to run it down. I don't know. Maybe they were assuming that he was like the only technician that was on call because it was around the Christmas holidays. That kind of makes sense. I don't know.
I'll give you that then. Yeah, but I didn't realize they could do it because it's a mechanical board, so there's seeing where the caller's coming from, what the number is, but they still got to trace it to the actual address.
Yeah, apparently 60s and 70s you could trace phone calls, although how they were able to do it, there's not really a good answer. So,
yeah, it kind of entered in the spy movies around that time too. So they, I guess they could. It's just so you watch it from this point of view of nowadays with cell phones, hardly anybody having landlines. It's like it's just crazy to watch that.
Yeah.
I mean, what else did you think? I mean, do you have any other, thoughts about the like general story or how it was laid out or anything like that?
I thought it was a really good movie, especially for being in the 70s. I think they nailed the good early makings of a solid horror movie.
I did too, and I think that they even like the music and everything. This is like, I mean, we've covered so many times like these movies like not having the appropriate music match to them, but this is where you really see the Americans shining or whatever, because Bob Clark was an American, like working that music in there just the right time to add to the scene.
Yeah, the storytelling was awesome. I was kind of hesitant at first, but as the movie went on, I was like, dude, this was done hella good.
I'll say it was a good start for sure.
Wow.
I see where you're going. I'll agree with Noah. Like, I was shocked at how much I enjoyed this movie. Like, I really was. I was like, this is the first true slasher. Halloween's the one that everybody knows. So how good is this thing going to be? And I watched it. I'm like, and then to find out that Bob Clark, who did this movie, was made my all-time favorite Christmas movie. A Christmas Story. After this, I'm like, this is insane. But I can't complain about anything in it.
The only complaint I had was one of the deaths that I thought was shittily done. It was the one where the old lady goes in the attic and he swings that hook at her.
Yeah, the hook, and then she goes up in the attic.
Yeah, there's no way the hook would have impelled her. Like,
is that one of our Is that one of our ratings? Because we have, I know in this one there's not going to be best boobies, but we have best death. Do we also have worst death?
We don't have worst death, but if you want to list it, that's perfectly fine. I mean to throw in there, but we'll get to that here in a few minutes.
Okay.
You know what I was thinking would have been awesome on that murder scene, instead of him throwing the hook, is him putting something around her neck and then hoisting her up.
That would probably been better. I'll agree with you.
Just her struggling to get free and can't.
I'll tell you though, I actually enjoyed that scene just for the interesting way that they. I mean, not for the hook impaling, because I kind of agree with you on that, but just it was such a change from all the other deaths in the movie, because they're all pretty traditional after that, like cut with a knife. Yeah. The unicorn ornament or figurine was kind of interesting, as far as that goes, but It's not really, he wasn't so much as a slasher, I mean, as a killer, because Claire, the very first one he kills is pretty much just choked to death.
He was working up to it, okay? These things take time. You don't just you're just not a natural born slasher, okay?
Yeah, he wasn't killing.
He
wasn't
saying that he was pushing rope, so he had to get a little chub before he went full bore into it. Is that what you're trying to say?
Maybe.
Well, he didn't come out of the gate killing sorority girls. He had to start with 13-year-olds.
Yeah, and that's true. That one was implied that she was raped and killed.
Oh God!
As as his alleged sister, who was what's her name in the
Agnes.
Agnes, yes. So,
any problems with the acting in the movie? I personally enjoyed all. I mean, even the cheesier ones, like Mrs. Mack, is a little bit cheesy, but she's enjoyable.
I'm trying to think. I think
like those goofy motherfuckers that come by that are doing like the watch in town or whatever, and like they're distracting like Phil and Jess at that point, and they're just.
Yeah, I mean, there's one actor or actress I really couldn't tell that stood out, and it was definitely the cat. Cat was the best one. The cat got quite a few people killed. So, I mean, without that cat, that was like 2 or 3 deaths. Come on.
It did lure a few people to different places. That's true.
You know what would have been a good thing if the serial killer had done it? Was to have killed the cat.
Oh, no.
Stuffed it, and then used it as a trickery to get people into positions. That would have been.
What if he would have killed the cat, wrapped it up in a gift, and then gave it to somebody?
No.
Oh, in one of the girls' rooms, that would have been hella good. Surprise, motherfucker!
Okay, the cat you're talking about looked so real. They did such a good job with that, and there was no blood or anything, so it wasn't insane. But actually, it wasn't realistic because the cat was still jiggly and movie, where rigor mortis would have kicked in by the time. Yeah. But yeah, still very effective.
What are you talking about?
The cat from. Do we want to spoil it?
No, don't. You can tell him off air what it is. Like, don't want to spoil it for the people who haven't seen it.
Just don't say it out loud. I will say the movie that I was watching when I was getting my tattoo done yesterday. Not The Babysitter. He doesn't know. He's not.
I know.
Okay. He got it.
I'm not retarded.
Anyways, I don't think there was any. I don't think there's any acting that stood out in a negative way at all. So that's good.
Just a quick comparison: the 2006 remake. You did say you watched that, right, Noah?
I watched about almost a third of it.
Okay, I don't blame you for that. Anyways, the people that's in it, the actresses, is Michelle Trachtenberg, Lacey Chabert, Katie Cassidy, Supernatural alumni there.
Oh yeah.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I did not like the 2000 remake as well or actually much at all compared at least to the original movie. And I know that's not like a popular opinion because I've seen so many people recently posting about how they think this one is better than the original. But here's my reasons why. Because the girls are hotter? What's that?
Because the girls are hotter?
No, that's not the reason they give, although that might be the case. I mean, there are a couple of hotter girls in this one. I think that people like the ultra out there type slashers. They've gotten conditioned to it, so they don't like subtlety in their movie. Or at least that's what I'm going on, because when you watch the 2006 remake, it is full bore, batshit insane, all the way around. The kills are amped up to 11, blood's splatting everywhere. The killer is piss yellow, and I mean that. He is literally yellow. They give some kind of weird backstory that he has a liver problem.
Because his mom was a drunk
from birth. Agnes is his incest baby / sister with his mom who raped him at one point in the movie, and they show it, and or at least the implication. They don't show the actual raping.
Yeah.
But I mean that it takes any subtlety from the first movie and just removes every bit of it. They even go back and give too much to the killer's history. That's the other reason I don't like it. So Bob Clark did come up with a backstory for Billy, and Agnes was involved in all that. and they took that in the remake and ran with it. And when I mean ran with it, you see literally the movie, half of it's flashing back to his past and showing how he got to where he was at. And I don't need that from a killer. Like, I think it's so creepy in this movie that you don't know jack shit about Billy. That's not even his name. And you don't learn anything about him. You just hear him mention the name Billy and Agnes, and that's all you know about him. And I think that's creepier to me.
Yeah. The amount of backstory they did, it worked fine for a TV show.
Yes. Yeah, but not a movie.
No, there's too much time spent on that character development of why he's such a bad person.
I will give the people who like the 2006 remake this. If you're going for a cheesy, just fun slasher, it is that. But if you watch the original movie and then turn around and then you love the original movie like I did and all the things that it did right, and then you turn around and watch this remake, like, it's night and day. I'm like, I don't know what I'm watching right now. This is just...
What's the intention? Is it supposed to be a cheesy slasher? Like, is it supposed to be like The Babysitter? It's not.
No, they don't add the humor of The Babysitter.
Yeah.
What they do is they go just balls to the wall, like it's Rob Zombie style is what it is.
Okay.
Like, so if you take Rob Zombie's Halloween, which took all the subtlety out of the original Halloween movie and just made it that's exactly what they did with the remake of this, like point
basically,
blank.
Out of the gate,
exact setup.
The girl gets a bag over her head and a pin right in the eyeball.
Oh, yeah.
It's like right out the gate.
They don't give like that's another thing in this movie. They introduce you to Claire. They kind of give you some backstory to her about how she's the kind of the prim and proper one that can't get along with Barb. They make you at least care for her for a split second before they take her out of the movie. They don't do anything like that for Claire in the new one. Like, it's just she's in a room, you don't even know who she is, bag over the head. And it moves on.
Yeah, stabbed in the eye and the other one yanked out.
Yeah, what's up with I kept reading Agnes was like yanking out eyeballs. It's like, chill, bitch.
Oh yeah, she yanks them out and then she sucks the blood off of them and then hangs them up on a Christmas tree. Okay. That's the kind of movie you're getting with a 2000 remake.
Got it. Okay.
Did you watch?
No subtlety.
Did you watch the 2019?
Yes, and speaking of that, so the 2006 remake seems like Citizen Kane with regards to the 2019 remake, which is nothing but woke garbage. And I say that with all the hatred that I can have in my heart for that movie, because it is nothing but a men are evil and the scum of the earth type movie, because the story in the new remake is that there's a fraternity house that all the guys and of course the guy who formed the fraternity was like fought for the South in the Civil War, extreme racist, misogynist, blah blah blah. Carrie Elwes, from the Great Princess Bride, plays this misogynistic teacher that basically right from the get-go tells one of the female students, if you don't bang me, you're failing this class. So he's that guy, and he runs the fraternity. He's like the fraternity father, whatever, however that comes about. But what it turns out is that there's a statue they worship of the guy who originally started the fraternity, and it's oozing this black ectoplasm, and any guy who touches it becomes instantly racist, misogynistic, can't think for himself, just wants to murder and rape women every time they see them. And so the rest of the movie, these girls, this sorority house is getting attacked by these guys who are basically zombies, because they touched the black goo during a fraternity ceremony, and now they're just out to rape and kill whatever woman they find in their midst.
Are you fucking serious?
No, I'm serious. That's what the movie's about. And to add to that, to make it even worse, there was one positive male in the movie who's a gay guy who is a friend to one of the characters. He goes in the fraternity, touches the goo, suddenly goes through gay conversion therapy, because that's what the goo does to you. And now he wants to rape and kill all women. So, there you go.
We solved gayism.
Yep, they solved it just by the black goo from Colonel Sanders lookalike that they're worshiping.
What a fall from grace to go from the 74 and then see what their interpretation is for 2019.
Yeah, it's the 2019. And
I bet if you had showed
like ruined the movie,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if anybody felt like I ruined the movie for him just then, I'm telling you, I saved you time. There's nobody I know of that likes the 2019 remake at all.
He watched it, so you don't have to.
If you would have showed people in 2006 the remake, and they said this is garbage, said, hold my beer, let me show you what it looks like in 2019. They would have been like, what the fuck? Holy shit, dude.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody who complained about the 2006 remake would have been, it's like, this can't get any worse than what you just did to the original movie that's a classic. And they're like, well,
Watch
hold on.
this. Yeah.
For reference, the 2019 version got a 3.5 on IMDb, 39% on Rotten Tomatoes, 1.9 on Letterboxd.
Hell yeah. That's what you get, bitch.
45% of Google users liked it, which you gotta hit at least 50 on Google, and even 50 is low.
What was the percentage that liked it?
45. And by the way, the tomato meter, the audience and the tomato meter score are spot on. They're like right on there with each other. Was made for a budget of $18.5 million. Oh, excuse me. The box office was $18.5. It had a budget of $5 million. That went to the
movie theater?
Yes, it did. Yes.
Okay, hold on. What did it get in theaters?
Was it in 2020?
It probably came out in 2020.
It came out right at the end, I think, of 2019.
December 13th.
Did it flop? Please, it flopped.
In ratings, it did.
Yeah. It flopped. I mean, if it only made that number you gave me or you just said for the box office,
yeah.
It was clearly filmed for more than that. I mean, a lot more than that.
Well, $5 million is what they claimed was the budget. But
I don't believe that, but okay.
Yeah, and then it made 18.5, but it seems like that would be flip-flopped.
Okay, hold on. Now, if you had to say one good thing about the movie, what was it?
Visually, some of the deaths are good, but I mean, that's literally the best I can say for it. I mean, it's not a bad looking movie. It's just, I mean, it's actually better looking in certain aspects in 2006. But that literally, it's the visuals because it's cleaner. It's like, it's not got the, the bright yellow, bad guy. But that's all I can say good for it. That's it.
And this was a Blumhouse film.
Yeah, that's the reason I watched it. I was like,
Blumhouse
okay. Says it done me wrong.
Yeah. Wrong.
And then wrong, you were done.
Yeah. It was after that I was like, I think I'm going to have to start making sure that I check these out before I watch them all the way through.
You know, the thing I understand is, how do you not sit down on paper and realize this sounds like horseshit?
I think it was a combination of things. I think 2019, the woke people really feeling like, high on their horse right before,
everybody agrees with us. They're wrong.
Yeah, everybody agrees with us. They didn't have any pushback. Blumhouse had not made a failure at that point, and I guess they still didn't technically, if that's what it actually made. But and so Jason Blum was just like, yeah, whatever. I like money.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't write it.
What was that? I'm sorry.
He probably just said, I didn't write it.
Oh, yeah. He probably came out afterward and he's like, I didn't have anything to do with that. I just signed my name to it so that somebody, that I knew could or agreed to make a movie later on for me or something. That's how a lot of that shit works.
Good Lord.
But yeah, if I was to rank them, it's definitely for me 74, the remake, the 2006 remake, and then I don't even consider 2019 existing. Just don't bother. Just it never happened. Cary Elwes is still the great, character we know from Princess Bride. He never made this shitty movie, woke rah this bullshit.
I gotta watch it now.
You're going to be so mad. Let me tell you something, Llareyna. If he watches this, you're going to have to I don't know. You're going to have to be away from him, separated from him for a bit, because he's going to be so pissed.
I mean, I hear him get pissed during movies, and I'm just like, okay, whatever,
No,
this is going to be this top notch piss though.
The problem with the movie, it needs to have a consistency. Like if you start the movie and it's just wild off the wall stuff from the get go, like a Rick and Morty show, that's fine. I'm under the assumption that we're just taking this thing wherever it goes. But if the movie starts off in reality and you're making a consistent type of thing, then whatever story you're planning has to be the same consistency running through it. That's what makes Rick and Morty awesome. Rick and Morty, there is no consistency. It's whatever happens is what happens.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, you won't get that with 2019 because it starts out and it's just a story about starts out with about a girl who is she's all, and I can't remember what it is, but she is fighting for some kind of equal rights on campus, and it's not like men and women, black and white. It's just more like I want to say it's leaning towards transgender, gay, that type of thing. But she's fighting for some kind of rights. She gets hit on by this misogynistic teacher that tells her that tells her that she's stupid, and if she really wants to get ahead in the class, she's going to have to give some head in the class. and then it goes on from there to have these sorority guys worshiping the statue that emits black goo and makes them like zombies. That's the movie you get.
Yeah, but isn't that the reality of how university professors are, though?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
So in reality, the movie's actually pretty accurate.
Yeah, it's fairly close.
I know we talked about this, Joss Whedon and Michelle Trachtenberg, because Michelle Trachtenberg reminds me of, she was that girl who, even as an adult, she had that childish look
Very
to her.
young.
Young look to her, which clearly Hollywood liked because they love that pervy, hey, this girl's old enough, but she looks like she's a kid.
Yes.
They love that shit, which is currently what we get with Jenna Ortega. Michelle Trachtenberg kept her young, youthful looks, but holy crap, I'm looking at some recent photos. She has really dumped on the weight.
Pow, hit the wall.
Was she... Oh, hold on. Let me show the hubby if there's a skinny photo of her in this. There is not. Let me see. So let's give you a before. Because I think you remember her from the Buffy years.
No.
At all?
I never
I
watched
do.
Buffy.
Okay. You never watched. Well, gosh, she was popular back in that day. She was really pretty. Here is, I don't know how recent this photo is, but.
Damn.
I'll send it to you, Reverend.
Someone's hunting wells.
Do you remember what we said about her and Joss Whedon whenever we covered a little bit about that stuff?
That's why I brought it up. He was not allowed to even just be around her. Like they
couldn't be, if they were going to be together, somebody had to be in the room with them.
Another adult, like trusted, almost somebody that would watch her, was, I don't know, representation of her or something like that. It would be like,
hey, he's just trying to pull his dick out.
Now, yes.
When he's at a crime.
Now, this was at a time where she was, in fact, a teen. She wasn't an adult
She
yet.
was actually very young at that time.
Yeah, she was 14 or 15.
A minor.
Yeah, she was our child's age, and they were just like, he can't. And this wasn't even something decided by her. This was something decided for her. Like,
wow.
Yeah. Like, hey, we're just going to, which I'm glad that was a thing. That gives me some hope that, Hollywood may be pervy, but at least somebody was looking out for this girl.
But remember back in the day whenever Joss Whedon was considered this ultra feminist and this woke icon, like, yeah. Just saying.
Fall from grace.
He did.
Are y'all ready for some trivia for this movie?
Yes. Are we doing reviews after trivia?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So Bob Clark was recorded in an interview, this is great, saying that John Carpenter spoke with him shortly before filming Halloween. When Carpenter asked Clark what he would have done for a sequel, Clark states that he would have had Billy breaking out of a mental institution and returning to torment the unlucky women who happened to be leaving the sorority house that time. He goes on to say he would have changed the setting of the film and set it during another holiday, this time Halloween.
Hell yeah.
He basically...
2 years that Bob Clark talked to him and told him this before Halloween came out.
I don't know if you have this, and was like, did Bob Clark ever take it personal at all? Like when Halloween came out, did John Carpenter ever credit him?
In the interview, he's got a smile on his face, but it's one of those things like he's smiling because it's funny, but at the same time, it's like you can get like the look on his face sells like this feeling like the bastard stole from me.
Yeah,
like, in a roundabout way.
Oh my God! Like that would almost be like, discussing this podcast. Hey, I have a good idea for a podcast, and then like I go on and do it. It's usually like, you fucking bitch.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that was my idea. What are you doing? But yeah, it's he broke out of a mental institution, returning back to the place that he killed some people at before. It's set during Halloween. I mean, there's a lot of similarity. I mean, now you can say that that's just a framework, and that Carpenter did add quite a bit on top of it, added the mask, added all, and he did. So, but he clearly had the seed for the idea from this, like, discussion.
got a way hotter final girl.
Hear me out. What if, while this conversation was happening, you heard Bob Clark, he was just on the piano, just kind of making some tunes, just playing some random shit. Just shooting the shit on the piano, not even being serious, and it was the Halloween theme.
Or some like really, really close, and
Yeah.
Carpenter's just like,
And then
"Oh,
Carpenter's
I like
added
to
the
do that."
dun, dun, dun. And like the rest of it was just Bob Clark.
You can't get mad at him. When an inspiration about an idea hits you, that someone says something, it's like it's your job to beat them to the punch. And
Yeah.
that's what he did.
Well, and Bob Clark
And-
probably learned a lesson too. Don't fucking give these secrets away.
You shut your motherfucking mouth.
Well, it's like we talked about with Smile. It's like, you can sit there and see these movies ripped each other off, and even have like a discussion like this that clearly proves there's a through line from one to the other.
Yeah.
But just because, Carpenter took that setup and he made a awesome movie out of it.
Yeah.
We have a whole genre because of it. Even if you want to lump, people rightfully call Black Christmas the first slasher, and it was. It has all the tropes set in there.
Yeah.
But which is the one everybody knows?
Yeah, exactly.
The very first
Just
one,
like I
it's
said last
Halloween.
episode. What's everyone talking about?
There were several attempts over the years to produce a sequel for the film. After the failure of the remake, Bob Clark began work on the sequel before he tragically passed away in a car crash due to a drunk driver in 2007.
Oh, shit.
In all these attempts, Olivia Hussey and John Saxon were to reprise the roles of Jess and Lieutenant Fuller, respectively. Jess would have become the new house mother of the sorority in Clark's treatment for the film back in 2007.
Aw.
So the 2006 remake was a failure, at least at the box office, and that made him go, and he was going to make a sequel that was faithful to the original at that point, but we never got that one.
Wait a second. So, just thinking out loud, that Jess was the victim. She was the final girl, and she was the victim of something pretty fucking tragic and mind fucking. So, mentally, how do you return to the sorority unless you are a fucking nutcase? I bet you she would have been like some version of like almost like a copycat killer.
She could have been, but how about this? I'm throwing this out there. What if she would have been Laurie Strode before Laurie Strode, came back, like in the new remakes that they did, or the new Halloweens that they did, in 2018, where she's like tragically damaged and she's trying to deal with it. I believe this movie might have went that route. And
Yeah,
she would
that's
have
true.
been that character before Laurie Strode was.
She could have been the Sydney whatever.
Yeah.
Laurie
Yeah.
Strode, Sydney, whatever.
Prescott.
I forget. Prescott, yeah.
In 1986, Olivia Hussey met producers for the film Roxanne, which came out in 87. Since they were interested in casting her for the title role, Roxanne co-star Steve Martin met her and said, "Oh my God, Olivia, you were one of my all-time favorite films." Thinking it was Romeo and Juliet in 68, Olivia was surprised to find out it was actually Black Christmas.
Oh.
Martin claims he's watched that movie 27 times, or at least the time that he met her, he had seen it 27 times.
That's a
Aw.
good-ass movie, Roxanne.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's a good take on the Cyrano de Bergerac or whatever story. But that cracked me up that Steve Martin, of all people, loves Black Christmas to the point that at the time that he filmed Roxanne, he had saw it 27 times.
There wasn't a lot out, okay? I mean, in terms of horror.
Steve Martin's a hell of
In
a good actor.
87,
Yes.
there was plenty of movies by then, including one of the movies we're probably going to be discussing here in a few minutes, but we'll get to that. The film had only a moderate box office success and negative critical reception when originally released. However, the film went on to have a large cult following and has since received a critical reevaluation. Is now considered a classic. I agree with that.
Yeah.
It is.
Definitely.
But that's how it always
no
is.
se-
You got these movies that redesign the paradigm of horror. And at the time, you get fucks like Siskel and Ebert that just smash them. And they can't get out of their own outside their own box to see how much of a breakthrough it is in the idea.
That's funny you say that, because the next film we're discussing after this, Siskel is deliberately involved in making sure that movie never became successful, and I'll get into how, but during the trivia, but he was deliberately involved in that one.
I hate those two guys, dude. Pompous as fuck. You know why I hate them the most is them bashing John Carpenter's The Thing. They fucking trashed that movie so
Yep.
bad.
And what did they praise that year? Fucking T.
Of
That's
course.
what they praised. I think Roger Ebert even came out and said if there's one alien movie you see this year, make sure it's E.T.
Really?
Yeah, he did. I'm pretty sure that's what his exact quote was.
So wait a second.
I'm glad his boyfriend died.
Because there are, I mean, there's so many, well, I guess there's human. Okay, the Thing is its own entity because you've got human horror, you've got aliens, obviously. But
Paranoia, tension like a motherfucker.
But more importantly, especially to me, you have when bad animals go bad. So what season does The Thing belong in?
I would say Alien just because
okay.
of the original basis for the story.
Okay, and there's a spaceship. Spoiler alerts, everybody.
Did you ever read the comics that they put out?
No, I never got around to anything like that.
Did you get me reading those? I feel like I read those.
The comics are so fucking good. Hella good. Dark Horse put them out back in the day when they were just coming out.
It's Dark Horse, and they have to be pretty good because they did some pretty good horror comics back in the day.
They did that, and then they did a Predator series, and all the covers make this giant mural if you put them all up against each other. It's awesome, dude.
Bet you that's hard to come by nowadays.
Dude, I used to have them. I used to love reading that comic. It was so good. That when they did, because it picks up right after them two are sitting in the ice cap, and everything's kind of like burning. It picks up right there.
Did you get me read? I feel like I read. Did you get me reading those, or did you find like a digital version or something? I feel like I've read these. I don't think I've read a paper version.
I used to have them.
Or was it a graphic novel? Did you ever have a graphic novel of it?
No, but somebody on YouTube. There's a dude on YouTube that takes these old comics and does voiceover work for it, and then they show they show page by page with voiceover for it. And they covered the entire Thing series all the way up to went to Australia.
Wow.
Yeah, it's actually
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they do it with a lot of the Star Wars ones too. The guy I follow, it's Audio Comics is what it is, and he basically depicts all these different comics and does all the voiceover work. It's hella good.
I wonder if he has to get some kind of copyright or whatever to do it.
I don't know, but like me and my son would sit down and watch these things. They're hella good.
Oh yeah. Anyways.
Speaking of snow, which is also in The Thing, the snow scene outside of the sorority house was actually fake because there had been surprisingly little snowfall during the filming. Foam material that was provided by the local fire department was used for the snow on the lawn, and according to cinematographer Albert Dunk, the substance actually caused the grass on the lawn to grow greener than ever the following spring. So it had some kind of chemical compound in it that the actual grass liked.
Yeah.
Damn.
The original title of the film script was Stop Me. It was director Bob Clark who came up with the title Black Christmas, saying that he liked the irony of something dark occurring during such a festive holiday. The title is also a tongue-in-cheek reference to the Christmas song in the 54 film White Christmas.
Okay.
The sorority house scene in the film was not a set constructed for the film, but an actual house that had to be rented for the film's production. Some scenes in the script had to be slightly rewritten to accommodate the house's foundation and the structure. It still stands this day as a popular tourist attraction.
Wow.
During an interview with the director, Bob Clark, Clark said Olivia Hussey's decision to take the role of Jess was based upon advice given her by a psychic.
Oh.
According to Clark, Hussey said her psychic believed that the film would be successful and a wise career choice for her. So that's why she took the role. You don't need to be calling Miss Cleo for your business advice. Just throwing that out there. Just throwing it out there for you. Composer Carl Zitterer said in an interview that he created the bizarre music score for the film by tying forks, combs, and knives to the strings of his piano so the sound would warp as he struck the keys. Zitterer also said that he would distort the sound further by recording audio tape while putting pressure on the reels of the machine to make it turn slower. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The film holds the honor of being the first seasonal slasher film, a horror movie taking place during a holiday in horror movie history, and would later be followed by Halloween, of course, in 78, Friday the 13th in 80, Prom Night in 80, Mother's Day in 80, Graduation Day in 81. We got a lot of seasonal slashers this year, folks.
Yeah.
My Bloody Valentine in 81, Silent Night, Deadly Night, which we will be discussing this episode, in 84. And April Fool's Day went 86. So if there's a holiday, there's probably a slasher for it. According to Bob Clark, Margot Kidder insisted on drinking real alcohol for the various scenes where she was to be drinking and be intoxicated. So every time that you see Margot Kidder drinking the movie, it was real alcohol.
She's an alky.
She's just preparing for later in life.
Yeah.
Legend has it that this was Elvis Presley's favorite horror movie, and his tradition was to watch it every Christmas. Further rumors say that his family kept the tradition alive and watched it in his memory. If true, Elvis would have celebrated this tradition a maximum of only 3 times before his untimely death in August of 1977, less than 3 years after the film's initial release.
Oh, yeah.
But that's pretty cool that the king enjoyed this movie. The role of Peter was originally offered to Malcolm McDowell, but he turned it down, a decision McDowell regrets to this day when he saw the massive success of the film and its classic horror film status. That would have been interesting to see Malcolm McDowell right off the back of Clockwork Orange and those type of movies, or around that time, playing that character.
I think he would have did a better job, actually. The guy who played
Peter would have
too. The guy who played Peter did a good job. He really sold that role, but I think Malcolm McDowell would have something about him. He as a psycho.
There would have been more creep to it. More creep factor. Bob Clark, the director, said the phone call scenes were filmed before they recorded the profane dialogue. He said he wanted the girls' reactions to be kind of low key and numb, as he didn't want them to be overwhelmed with the shock dialogue they used for the scene. So he edited the phone stalker recordings afterwards, which were quite shocking. All the stuff about pussies and cunts and everything else, he added that in after the fact.
That's hella funny. Yeah, because I was like, they're barely reacting to that, which to me is hilarious, because I'd be just like, what's her name's character? Not Claire. No, not Claire. The
drunk girl.
The drunk girl, yeah. I'd just be like, the fuck.
Oh, yeah. Barb, that cracks me up that Margot Kidder's sitting there and she just listens to it. She's like, oh, is that what you're going to do? It's like,
not bad.
Not bad. I love that line. She's like, not bad.
Yeah.
The guy's saying like the worst things.
Like, okay.
A strict rule that Clark had set for himself when it came to writing the female characters was to never objectify them sexually or give them nude scenes. He wanted the college girls to come off as real people and not disposable horror characters waiting to die.
As they were being disposed of left and right.
You know what?
Thing is,
I never felt like I had to see titties in this movie.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
I didn't at all. And I think they did a pretty good job with that, because they did make the characters seem more realistic. Like if they were showing their tits off a bunch, like in say like a movie like Porky's, which I think he made later actually, or like Revenge of the Nerds, like it would have made it goofy a little bit, and it would have taken away from the movie, I think.
Well, even in the next film, I really didn't feel like it wasn't terrible or anything, but I didn't feel like it was needed in the films. They kind of just randomly showed up, and sometimes they weren't really put to good use. So I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah,
I feel like the titties were important in the next movie.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
Yeah, the boobs were very necessary in Silent Night, Deadly Night, but we'll get to that. I just think it's funny, but there's also, I don't remember there being any nude scenes or anything like that in the 2006 remake either, as much as it goes out of its way to be crazy.
I think there's titties in that.
They're very brief then, because I don't remember them dwelling on it at all, like during the movie. It's mostly seeing a bunch of like catty bitchy girls, Lacey Chabert and all them, like sitting around like taking pot shots at each other in between scenes of Billy's youth where he's getting like raped by his mom. It's just, I'm like, what the fuck are they doing with this movie?
That seems realistic. Women just being catty with each other.
Yeah, well. The film setting of Bedford is an intentional homage to another Christmas classic, It's a Wonderful Life from 1946, because that's Bedford Falls is where that movie takes place.
Oh.
This film was initially thought to be the first slasher film ever to put the audience in the killer's point of view. However, Peeping Tom from 1960 was technically the first. This convention was then popularized by Halloween in 1978.
What year was the original movie Maniac made?
It was in the 80s. I don't remember exactly in the 80s, but it was definitely in the 80s.
Yeah, because that's a first-person type of movie. I know the remake they did was hell good with Elijah Wood.
Yeah, and I don't know if
1980.
That's a good slasher.
It's almost a human horror too. I don't know. That one's on the line. It really is. I don't know. We might have to cover that this season if we got time.
Well,
I don't know.
There's going to be human horrors that end up being slashers. It's gonna happen.
It's going. They do mix. I mean, unless you're talking about like Undead Jason or Freddy, who's a nightmare demon, you're going to start getting like some, interconnected stuff between all this.
Yeah.
None of the actors portraying teenagers in the film were actually in their teens. In fact, the oldest actor, well, there you go. I had it in this. Was Cara Dulé, who was 38 at the time.
Yeah.
Lynn Griffin and Olivia Hussey were the youngest on set at 22 and 23, respectively.
Having a fucking midlife crisis in college. Sporting wrinkles and all.
An early example of a largely mainstream film containing the word cunt. This was cut for the UK release.
Oh, yeah.
How? Because they use that word like it's going out of style.
Yes.
I know. It's so funny that they wouldn't
Australians
but they use it more than we do.
Yeah, Australians and Brits, man, they use the word cunt like it's a thing.
One of the main reasons Cara Dulé agreed to do this film was because, like I said earlier, it was being shot near where his parents lived, and he just wanted to go visit them.
Let's be honest. He still lived with his parents, so he was just like, "Oh, it's right near home. Okay."
Yeah, he's an 8-year college student.
Yeah, I'm just 70 years old going to college. No big deal. Shooting the search party scenes in the park proved to be quite difficult as the temperature was a freezing 10 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 12 degrees Celsius.
Damn.
No, thank you.
Andrea Martin was the only cast member to return for the 2006 remake. She was hired to be in the remake as an attempt by Glenn Morgan to pay homage to this film. The decision initially came down to her and Margot Kidder. But I think Kidder had to like bow out because she had some prior commitment or something at the time. Gilda Radner was offered the role of Phyllis Carlson. She was attached but dropped out 1 month before filming began owing to Saturday Night Live commitments in 75.
Oh, okay.
I think Gilda Radner would have been better than Andrea Martin, personally.
Definitely would have had a little bit more, if not, because she's supposed to be comedic in this, and she wasn't at all. So she would have brought...
it didn't come through quite that much.
She probably would have brought that a little bit more. And if not, I mean, a different type of personality that, I don't know, she was just very bland.
Yeah,
so.
Which... It's hard. I mean, you have Margot Kidder playing Barb, who's like out there character, and then you have Mrs. Mack, who's an out there character. I mean, and then of course the focus is on Jess, so it's hard to really.
Yeah.
I mean,
where does Phyllis? Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe Gilda Radner would have been too much personality because I can't imagine her walking into this role and playing it anywhere near what Andrea Martin did. I mean, she would have been the focus of attention when she was on screen. Although some critical evaluations of the film interpreted the subplot with Peter and Jess as a feminist statement that defended a woman's choice to have an abortion, while also pointing out this film came out a year after Roe v. Wade, Bob Clark and Olivia Hussey have dismissed such evaluations and claimed that the subplot was politically neutral and not meant to promote any pro-life or pro-choice message. It was simply meant to give the characters something to do and talk about in the film in between the murders and the investigation.
Yeah, and kind of set up the fact that he's, trying to lock her down. And she's trying not to be locked down.
And that's the thing. It even if this is a pro-feminist message, and they clearly the people behind it didn't intend it that way, so whatever. But if you read it that way, it's still done in such a way that it's not preaching at you. It is a point of the movie. It's not the point of the movie.
Exactly.
This film was shot in just 40 days.
Nice.
Billy's erratic phone calls made after each murder seems almost eerily similar to serial killer Paul Michael Stefani's actions. Stefani is known as the weepy voice killer, and the moniker was developed due to his habit of calling the police after committing his crimes to confess.
The weepy voiced killer.
Yeah. His and Billy's ramblings are similar, as they were confusing and disorienting, with changes in the voices, meaning they could not be properly identified. However, unlike Billy, Stefani was not vulgar in his calls and was confessing to his murders each time that he called the police.
It's still funny because, I always hear that we got to stop giving, killers cool names like the Night Stalker and, things like that. And it's like, for instance, when we had the Golden State Killer, or I think he was also the Night Stalker too, wasn't he? I'm not sure, but I think they were both the same killer. Every woman that was raped by this guy, and I hate to bring that up, but it happened. We're always like, yeah, he had the tiniest peen. I didn't even know I was being raped.
How dare you?
God.
So like, why not
Attacking
like?
his manhood.
So why not like call him the tiny peen killer? Like, let's offend these guys because that's when they start losing their shit, you know, or guys, or girls, women, whatever. Can you imagine pissing off a woman? Like, oh yeah, she had the smallest set of tits, and like she would lose her shit, and like she would. I feel like she would be caught way sooner.
How hilarious would that have been if these girls went on national TV and they just interviewed him like, yeah, it's the smallest thing we've ever
They
felt.
did. They did. This is on the podcast. Like every woman that was interviewed was
No,
like,
again, national television.
Oh, national. See, that's the thing is I think that'd be the perfect in prison right now if that's all they played was all these confessions of these women that are like one flat out says like if he even like I can't even tell if he has a dick or not. Like it was like she was just that's how small it was in her opinion. She's like, I mean, if you want to call that thing a penis, I was like,
it'd be even
holy
funnier
shit.
if you had a killer that like couldn't get it up like unless certain conditions are met, and so they started calling him like Dead Dick Johnson or something, you know, like.
Yeah. So okay. Anyways, that total off topic, but.
Well, speaking of the killer, during Nick Mancuso's audition for the role of Billy's disembodied voice, Bob Clark had Mancuso sit in a chair facing away from him so as not to see his face. He wanted his audition to rely solely on his voice acting and not on facial expressions. Clark then had Mancuso experiment with different voices in order to come up with the one that was right for the character. One of the methods used was having Mancuso compress his thorax and his neck by standing on his head.
Wow.
So that's one way to get the voice.
Okay.
While helping Roy Moore write the script, Bob Clark based the personality and mannerisms of Mrs. Mack on his real-life aunt. Clark claims that he rewrote a lot of Roy Moore's script, adding some humor into the film. Moore was also against the idea of never seeing the killer. However, when he saw the finished film, he was very pleased with it.
Yeah.
The original script was over 166 pages long before the rewrites. The unaltered script, if filmed, would have easily been a 3-hour movie.
Shit.
The script was used for the basis of a long out-of-print novelization written by Lee Hayes. So that would work for a book to have a longer thing, but I agree. Whoever made the cuts in this movie did it perfect because this is just the right runtime. It's almost a little much in the middle. There might have been a little bit more they could have trimmed, but it's pretty good for where it's at. Carl Zitra took inspiration for this film's score from Toru Takamitsu and his score for the film Kwaidan in 1964. Takamitsu used an unconventional scoring method, which included integrating sound effects into the music and turning the music into sound effects. So that's kind of cool. I mean, because it did work in this film.
Yeah.
The crimes of Canadian serial killer Wayne Bowden who was also known as the vampire rapist. So there you go. There's another name, the vampire rapist. Was the case that inspired screenwriter Roy Moore for the main plot of the film. Bowden murdered 3 women in Montreal from November 1969 to January of 1970. He later relocated to Calgary, where he claimed a 4th victim in the spring of 1971 and was apprehended soon after. He was sentenced to 4 life terms and died in 2006 at the age of 58. So it took, from this guy and obviously from the babysitter, urban legend, and they kind of mixed the two together, which is kind of a neat idea.
I mean, see, it took them so long to find him if they had pissed him off by calling him the bloody dumbass or something like. Maybe he wouldn't have gone away with it for so long.
The Red Wing Bastard or something, Olivia Hussey played a character who is pregnant but wants an abortion in real life. However, Hussey had just given birth to her son before taking the lead role in the film.
Oh, yeah. It's like they said that she became the most popular after giving birth to her son.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Although this film's original title was Silent Night, Evil Night, it shares no connection to Silent Night, Deadly Night that we're going to cover, another Christmas horror film, or any of its sequels. Another similarly titled film called Silent Night, Bloody Night came out in 1972, also has no relation to this film. There's a lot of these movies that use the same titles.
Wow.
Art Hindle met with Bob Clark at a hotel to audition for the role in the film. Hindle was originally going to play the part of Peter, but because Keira Dulé had already been cast, he got the role of Chris instead, which that is Claire's boyfriend in the movie, the one that wears the fur coat. Clark told him after shooting that although he really wanted Dulé to be in the film, he would have cast Hindle as Peter if he had met him sooner. They would go on to collaborate in more films in the future, such as Porky's in 1981. An unofficial direct fan made sequel entitled It's Me, Billy was released on YouTube and Vimeo in 2021. The film follows the granddaughter of Jess Bradford and acts as the first part in a two-part story the filmmakers hope to finish. It's Me, Billy was nominated for Best Cinematography in the Dramatic Short category of the 65th Annual Canadian Society of Cinematographers Awards. So
they should have called it Oh, Billy.
Oh, Billy. Margot Kidder won a Canadian Film Award for the Best Leading Actress for her role in this film, despite the fact that she has less screen time than Olivia Hussey. So you explain that how that works.
She stood out more. I mean, Olivia Hussey was just, I know she's the final girl. She was just so quiet, and I wish she wasn't convincing when she was telling the cops to stay on the phone line. I just think that Barb stood out more.
Yeah, she was more of an out there personality.
Yeah.
The film has noted similarities to real-life attack on the Chi Omega sorority house in Tallahassee, Florida. On January 15th of 78, which is after this movie came out, serial killer Ted Bundy entered the sorority house through a door with a faulty locking mechanism. He killed 2 sleeping college students and injured 2 others and then fled into the night. There were several efforts to ban the film, blaming it for the supposedly inspiring the murders.
That's crazy.
That's kind of crazy that Ted Bundy... We're hitting a lot of serial killers with this movie.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Nick Mancuso, who voiced Billy, was not on set. Both director Bob Clark and Cara DeLay confirmed that DeLay at no point contributed to Billy. However, in order to raise more suspicion for Peter possibly being the killer, Nick Mancuso dubbed over 6 of Cara DeLay's lines of dialogue in the film. So they're mixing the two of them together. Some lines you hear that Cara DeLay actually said in person, Mancuso actually recorded over top of in the film. That's kinda
crazy. Yeah,
it's kind of neat. Cinematographer Albert Dunk created Billy's point of view shots by rigging up a camera harness that would mount the camera on his shoulder as he walked about the house and climbed the trellis and attic ladder himself. So him climbing up the trellis at the beginning of the movie is actually the guy, the cinematographer climbing up that whole entire thing.
Oh, that's innovative.
Bob Clark stated in an interview that he couldn't recall whose eyes was used for the famous shock scene where Jess sees Billy staring at her from behind the door. It was possibly Albert Dunk, but it's never been confirmed just whose staring eyes giving countless viewers nightmares all these years later.
No one has stepped up and said it was me.
No, nobody.
Wow. I mean, I guess it's kind of cool.
There was actually some random dude in the house, and it was.
They're like, actually, I don't even remember. We just know that they were there, and we thought it was part of the shooting.
He was just mumbling to himself in the corner. We thought it was part of it.
Oh, my God.
Actress Lynn Griffin revealed that her scenes where she's wrapped in the plastic bag, in order to film those, she would rip a hole in the bag, stuffing the opening into her open mouth and poke nose holes in the bag with a pencil so she could breathe during the filming. Being a swimmer also helped holding her breath while she was in the bag. And that's actually how she got the role for the film, because they asked her point blank, how long can you hold your breath? And she's like, oh, pretty long time. I'm a swimmer. And they're like, okay, you're hired.
Oh, my God. Like, imagine if you could just go on set and be like, look at how fast I can run in my new shoes. And you're just hired. Tim Burton, call me.
Yeah, I'll be your new muse.
Yeah.
Although the audience never finds out anything about the mysterious killer, or even if his name really is Billy, Bob Clark worked out a backstory for him. He was abused as a child, locked in the attic, and eventually killed his parents. The Agnes he keeps referring to was his little sister, whom he tried to kill, but she escaped, giving Billy his dislike of girls. These elements were incorporated in the remake, but man, they're drastically altered. I mean, how they came about them.
Yeah.
Regarded among horror fans as the first film to come up with a popular convention of a killer calling from inside the house. However, it was preceded a year earlier by the movie The Severed Arm, in which a radio announcer is called repeatedly by the killer, who the operator soon discovers is inside the studio on another phone. And then a TV movie, Mousy, that came out in 1974, which featured Kirk Douglas terrorizing his ex-wife, with calls that the police eventually traced back to a room upstairs. Dialogue between the police inspector and Seberg, or the ex-wife, is almost identical to that between Jess and Sergeant Nash in the film. Both likely set the precedent for this convention popularized by Black Christmas. So even though it's one of the first films to feature the caller from within the killer calling from within the house, it's not the first technically. The convention, let's see, was would serve as the inspiration for the legendary opening 20 minutes of When a Stranger Calls in '79, which would only come out 5 years later. Both films are inspired by the urban legend, The Babysitter and The Man Upstairs.
Hey, I just watched The Babysitter.
There you go. The same exact line, the calls are coming from inside the house, is uttered in this movie and When a Stranger Calls in '79. So they say the exact same line in those movies. The killer, popularly known as Billy, was never confirmed by name. Much like other aspects of the movie, not knowing the killer's identity is meant to increase a sense of fear. According to Bob Clark, not knowing anything about the killer was intended to make him less relatable, to have a much more suspenseful impact on the audience. And I agree with that statement, because you watch the remake and then they give him all that backstory. You're just like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, I don't really care what he does now. This piss yellow piece of shit, it's just like, whatever. At the end of the film, Claire and Mrs. Mack's bodies are still undiscovered, and although is arguably ambiguous, the ringing telephone, an event that occurred after each murder, implies that it is the killer calling once again, and that there is nobody there to answer it. The only other person in the house other than the killer is Jess. The implication is that Jess was murdered by Billy just before the credits began to roll. And while writing the script, Roy Moore and Bob Clark could not decide whether or not to kill Jess off, or to let her live. So they decided to write two alternate endings to the film, one where she dies and one where she survives. Neither ending was ever filmed, so they decided to leave the ending and Jess's fate ambiguous, and stuck to the ending despite interference from the studio trying to get them to, go one way or the other with it.
Yeah.
See, the weird part is at the end of it, there's that cop right in the front door.
Is that a new cop?
That's not
the dead one, or is that the
live
live one?
He would have heard the phone ringing.
He would have heard the phone ringing, but would it have dawned on him that they think they've caught the killer?
Yeah, it could have been some just like one of the family members calling the house.
I know.
Or something.
So that's more of a reason the cops would have went inside and answered the phone to give information out.
Yeah, I suppose so.
That's true.
Well, what would have been cool if it showed the cop going inside the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there wouldn't been nothing to really take away from the ambiguous ending either, because he could have been murdered shortly after going into the house.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what I'm saying. It would have been awesome if they kind of did that.
So the studio actually wanted it to be where Jess, what their proposed idea was, is that the cops leave Jess alone with Chris, Claire's boyfriend. She wakes up and he says, Agnes, don't tell them what we did. And then he kills her. Clark refused and kept the original ending. So the studio actually wanted Claire's boyfriend to be the killer the entire time, which I don't think fits the movie, and it's kind of dumb, but whatever. That's studio interfering. And although the film ends with a rather ambiguous ending, with Jess laying in her bed and her ultimate fate unknown, it is worth noting that Mrs. Mack told the sorority that she was returning home for winter break to visit her sister, who was expecting her. Her sister would certainly call the sorority and inform them that she never showed up, warranting a more thorough investigation of the house. Furthermore, the original monotrack is a line of dialogue in the background where the police officers state that investigators are heading over to look through the entire house for evidence. They would never skip over the attic, especially if there already isn't a decaying smell coming from the bodies.
You know what gets me is, okay, so at the end, is that girl inside the sorority, or is she at the hospital? I thought she was
in the sorority house.
She's still inside the sorority house.
I thought she was at the hospital.
Nope.
No, she's laying in the bed, and they turn the light. That cop that's outside turns the light off before he steps outside.
Yeah, they sedated her or something, and it was like, oh, she's fine here.
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around it. She was involved in some serious trauma. She's pregnant. Why wouldn't she be at the hospital?
Yeah, well, they don't know she's pregnant.
No, they do.
Do they?
No, they do, because she had to tell John
because of the call. Like, why did he say that? I remember. Okay.
I'm just saying, by today's standards, she would have been in the hospital.
Today's standards, but
I know, but I'm just saying.
Fuck them kids.
No, because back then they cared about kids more than they do nowadays. So I'm pretty sure
that's true. That's true. But they did. The funny thing is that I don't know why they didn't run her, because they did have the ambulance there to run Claire's dad to the hospital, because when he passes out, they're like, get him to the ambulance, but they just left Claire laying there instead. So they could have ran both of them. It's not like the ambulance couldn't have held two people,
Dead silence.
I'm just saying. Claire's reaction when Billy starts to strangle her with a laundry bag is real, as the actress Lynn Griffin didn't know what to expect, so they didn't tell her that they were going to put a bag over her head like they did.
That's awesome. And I was I was watching that. I was like, she has to fucking die, because if she doesn't fucking shut the fuck up and say, "What's that? Who's there? Who's there? Who's there? Who's there? Who's there? Shut up! Somebody kill her already! God damn!
Thought it was Claude.
Claudia.
Yeah, she thought it was the cat.
Yeah, fucking cat. I wish the cat had jumped and attacked her ass. God, like, shut up already.
When the killer peers at Jess from behind the door, his eyes clearly brown. Peter's eyes are blue. This should have been a tip-off to both Jess and the audience that Peter is not the killer if either is in an emotional state to process that information. However, I don't think Jess would have been like in the frame of mind to be able to tell what the eye color was in the audience.
Well, not that, but
it could have just been dark.
Let's be honest. It's dark as hell. Just because the movie lighting makes it so we can see it doesn't mean the character itself would be able to see it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't buy that she would have. Now, the audience can, and that's whatever you want to think at that point. But I don't remember really staring at Peter's eyes long enough to figure out that he had blue eyes either. So there's that.
Yeah, same with me.
Bob Clark was off screen rocking the chair that Claire's corpse is sitting on with his foot whenever they were to shoot the attic scenes.
Was she not able to rock the chair herself? Was that a dummy? What is the situation?
No, that was her, but they probably didn't want her moving herself because then it would have probably like moved her muscles around or something.
Okay.
Mrs. Mack's death via meat hook required the use of a harness. According to costume designer Debbie Weldon, a man arrived from New York with a harness, dropped it off, and then left immediately. She had to then test it out on the first crew member she saw.
Wow.
Marion Waldman decided to wear a harness, or had to wear the harness every time she had to shoot a scene featuring the character's corpse.
Oh my God!
From the hook in the attic. She did not find this particularly comfortable. By the way,
I still think it would have been better if he had been waiting up there and came up from behind her and put a rope around her neck, then just hoisted her up.
Yeah, it would have been better than the hook through the face and all that.
It would have been way more brutal. She's just struggling to try to get out of it, and since she's just a drunk old lady, just watching her choke out.
And then the cat comes and licks her face.
Speaking of that, I don't know that I put it in here, but they had to spray catnip on on the plastic to get that cat to jump, or like how it's licking Claire's plastic. That was catnip, and then so she had to sit there in that plastic get up with catnip on top of it, and the cat didn't like her. They couldn't get the cat to stay otherwise. It would jump on her, it would sink its claws into her, and it would jump right back off otherwise.
Oh my God, fucking Claude.
While shooting the scenes of Claire's body in the attic rocking, the cat ran across the floor, and Bob Clark was inspired to add in the famous moment of it crawling on the corpse and all that other stuff that I just said. At the very end, the phone rings exactly 13 times. So unlucky number there.
Oh, okay.
That they threw in. So we're to the ratings, the Death Holler Awards for this particular show or a movie. Final girl rating. So Jess, in the original movie, how do you feel about her as a final girl overall?
I mean, she was the final girl. The end.
You don't have it. As far as final girls goes in movies, there are obviously better.
Well, yeah.
I mean, this was the first one. It kind of set the tone. I gotta say though, she wasn't completely helpless like some of them tend to be, at least for most of the movie. She did have some gumption for herself, even if she did that stupid thing about going upstairs.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that she was non-traditional. She doesn't fit the mold the rest of them do. They're usually the good girls, and she's not to say she's a bad person, but she had the baby. She was struggling with that whole thing, and that's not what the final girls later on would be like at all.
Yeah, and I guess they hadn't really kind of established it at this point. But yeah, it's hard because when you think of the final girl, you think of somebody. I guess she did have to be strong in this movie.
I think that Lois Lane drunk chick would have been a better final girl.
Yeah, I agree with Noah on that one.
Just keep her drunk the whole movie and oblivious to what's going on, and then it narrows her down to being the last character.
I think she would have been a better final girl, honestly, too. But at the same time, she's almost setting up a trope herself that would go on later on. That clearly the one who's doing the drugs, which I mean, she's not smoking dope or anything like they would later. But I mean, drinking the entire movie is the one that has to die for, or at least one of the first ones to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been awesome if she had been the one to be the final one. Comes out of a drunken stumber and everybody's just massacred around the house.
Yeah, she's just like, she doesn't know what's happened, and she starts going on a big rant, like, when the killer comes at her, she's like screaming at him, like,
well, because that girl's already sassy in general. Like, if you follow her character arc through the movie, from making the joke to the police officer about fellatio, and just having a mouth on her and saying her piece, she's already kind of built as a strong woman to a degree. So I don't think I don't think it'd be much of a stretch to put her in that role.
It'd sober up real quick if she had to survive.
I know.
And you didn't watch Llareyna didn't watch the movie, and then I don't think you watched enough to see the final girl. Kelly in the 2006 remake, she's okay as a final girl. It's Katie Cassidy playing the character, and she's not bad. And I mean, she's easy on the eyes. I'll give her that. But at the same time, like, she's more of like a happenstance final girl. Like, throughout the whole movie, she doesn't really show any like growth as far as like why she should be the one to survive. She just happens to be the one at the end of the movie that was in the right place at the right time not to get killed. Like, there's no, like, she doesn't stand out that way. At least Jess shows some backbone with standing up to Peter. I don't feel like Kelly. There's one scene in the movie where Kelly's like boyfriend's kind of similar to Peter because that's what they're going with as far as like the echo, but it doesn't stand out. The arc she has with him is she finds out that he's been banging one of the other sorority sisters, and they kind of break up and fight that way. But that's literally the arc, and that's it. And then at the end of the movie, he comes back and he tries to save her and like a couple of other people that are left, and gets killed in the process. And it's kind of like, oh well, like, and then they just move on. So she's not my favorite final girl by any. She's definitely way less than Jess if you compare the two of them.
Yeah.
Killer rating, Billy. You can rate him for either one. I'm just going to tell you right now, the 2006 one is just batshit insane, and the fact that he's like bright yellow and it does not work for me. It's a little too out there.
Yeah, I think he's an effective enough killer. I mean, you got someone who's mentally disturbed, who's able to portray obviously multiple personalities, as we somewhat witness, or at least at minimum hear. And the kills, I mean, they're decent. He gets it done.
You know what would be funny if the sorority mom was a final girl.
Oh my God. I think that'd be one everyone could root for too.
You know what's funny? When we get to the next movie, I want to hear your take on who you think the final girl is, because I've got my pick, and it's very non-traditional for who I think is the final girl in Silent Night, Deadly Night. But we'll get to that. Mrs. Mack would have made a funny final girl, but I'm glad they at least went the route of like having one of the sorority girls be that.
Yeah.
Billy, to me, I think, he works. I mean, you don't get the mass killer. You don't really see much of him other than that eye through the door. But I do think that him like running the way he did, and he was way more physical than some of the ones outside of maybe Leatherface, like that we'll come across.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't get that out of Chucky. I mean, that goofy little bastard running around like he's not. It's not physical with him. It's like,
well, you know what gets me? There's a couple deaths in the movie. Like, prime example, one is when the sorority mom dies and that hook gets thrown at her. How come no blood came down?
It's one. Yeah, I thought about that too, and I was like waiting for the drop of blood, but at the same, and that would have gave him away because then they could see the blood.
It was the attic. Well, it was a hook in the neck.
Yeah.
I mean, out of all the places you're going to pour blood, that's going to be it.
It's shot everywhere. It's soaked into her ugly ass pajamas, and then it.
Oh yeah, the ones that she wouldn't even wear to have her liver taken out. Yeah. If you remember that line from the movie.
And before it could soak all the way through, he closed the door. So
it would have leaked on everything.
I mean, yeah, but it didn't make it. So
just saying.
So Billy's okay. I mean, for one of the first killers in a slasher movie, it's fine.
He definitely was the inspiration for a few other killers. I mean, for sure, we had some Texas Chainsaw Massacre in there.
Yeah. They came out the same year, though. That's the funny thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if one inspired the other or if they just happened to be, that's like the light bulbs went on at the same time.
Yeah.
Best scream in the movie. Or actually, no, best kill first. Best kill. So I personally, I did like the hook scene.
I
but
did too.
And I liked how her legs like wiggled when she was like, hauled up into the attic. I don't know. Other than that, I don't know which one I would give that to, because I mean, I wouldn't say that Claire is a good kill. It's just she's so. I mean, when they keep coming back to her, it's it's the creepiest kill.
I mean, that's just best body at this point. But I'll tell you why I like the hook in the face was because you saw it coming and it happened. Versus most of the other kills were off screen. I mean, even
cutaways.
Yeah, Barb wasn't even like. Yeah, you saw her getting stabbed by that glass unicorn and everything, but it's like you didn't really see anything. Phyllis was completely off screen.
So was Officer Jennings. Like you never saw him get his throat cut in the movie.
No, and so that's why I think that the hook one was the best kill. It may not have been like exactly what we wanted it to be, but of all the kills, it was the most seen.
It was the most visceral of the kills, just because you saw enough to get the full effect out of it.
Yeah.
Billy's death or Mrs. Mack in the 2006 one is what I would give it to, rating that one, because Mrs. Mack in the new one, it's totally stupid, but like an icicle falls off one of the garage and like plows through her head like all the way through. And I mean, that's what I'm saying, dialed up to 11, because
there's no way that would happen.
There's no way it would go through the cranium and all the way through and puncture through the jaw but it does in the movie. Billy at the end of it, the way he dies whenever Kelly actually stands up to him, he falls onto a tree and he becomes basically the angel topper, and that's a neat way to end it for a Christmas movie, I guess.
Yeah.
Best scream. Technically, I would give it to Kelly in the new movie, because Katie Cassidy can scream better than all the ones in the original movie. But I think Jess has a decent scream in the movie whenever she sees Barb and Phil or dead in Barb's room. But
because it wasn't Miss Mack.
Yeah, it wasn't her. No, like she definitely didn't have the best scream. What do you all think? I mean, in the original movie, who would you agree?
Who was the first girl that died? Claire?
Claire, yeah.
Yeah, that's the death. Something about a good old strangulation, especially with the plastic bag. That's what? That is horrific as fuck.
It is. If you're, I'll agree with you. I gave her a worse scream though, and I'll tell you why. Because she was just a little too quiet for my taste.
Yeah, she had a bag over her head.
I know.
But maybe you say that would be the best scream. Yeah.
Oh my god! The fact that she was able to make any noise at all.
Best side character.
Best side piece. For me, it's gonna be. God, it's exactly what you said, Miss Mack, but Barb as a contender. It's going to be Miss Mack for me, because Barb didn't feel like a side character, even though she was.
No, you're wrong. The best side character is that stupid fucking cop.
Yeah, but that's your opinion of it.
He was a good side character.
Yes.
I will agree with you. And I had to throw that quote in there. It's like she said, Barb's quote. She's like, "Did you know, this is a very little known fact, but did you know there's a certain species of turtles that can screw for 3 days without stopping? You don't believe me, do you? Well, I mean, how could I make something like that up? I mean, no, really. They just 3 days, 24 hours a day. Waboom, waboom, waboom. Can you believe that? 3 days. I'm lucky if I get 3 minutes.
And the dad is just horrific in his face. He's just like, fucking what?
Do you know how I know this? Because I went down to the zoo and I watched him. It was very boring. Well, actually, I didn't stay for the whole 3 days. I went over and I watched the zebras because they only take 30 seconds. Premature ejaculation. And the entire time, Claire's father's just like look of sheer horror on his face.
This is where my daughter's been going.
Best boobs, not applicable in this movie. I guess if you want to say best ass, it would be that poster that Mrs. Mack's trying to hide. How annoying is the Doom Prophet in this movie? I don't know if there is a Doom Prophet in this one. There is in the 2006 remake because Andrea Martin played Mrs. Mack. She kind of is the one telling the kids, it's like, oh, well, Billy actually, did this. So she was kind of like warning them. But I don't feel like anybody in this movie, because they didn't know what the fuck was going on.
I think the final girl was more of a Doom Prophet. Because she was always nervous, always scared, always kind of like worried about the phone. Someone keeps calling.
Yeah.
She was sounding a lot of the alarms.
I agree with you. Yes, that's a good point. She was the one that was always like, she was always telling Barb, she's like, shouldn't we be concerned about this? Like, this keeps happening. And
everybody's like, nope, it's fine. This is normal.
Dumbest decision. For me, it's clearly Jess going upstairs after she's been told by that horrible cop not to do it, not to stay in the house.
I mean, yes. But a very close second was definitely Claire and her going into the closet and repeating, "Who's there? Who's there?" That shit.
Who's there?
Kitty, kitty.
God damn it. It was like, just like, seriously. I don't know.
You can't blame Mrs. Mack, though. Her death wasn't stupid because she just heard the cat upstairs and she had no clue there was anybody up there.
Yeah, what the fuck was she? I guess
and
she
let's
thought
be
she was
honest,
going to grab it.
she didn't really like that cat.
She didn't act like she did.
That fucking scene where she's like, "You fucking cat," and then the dad walks
was right there.
That's another good moment of comedy. Like, Bob Clark is great at the comedy in this movie.
Oh my God.
In the 2006 movie, I would give it to the stupidest moment to be Kyle. That's Kelly, the final girl's boyfriend that was cheating on her. He goes up into the attic with a killer. And this is after he's sitting there on the steps going up in the attic. He doesn't have a flashlight. He's sitting there fumbling around for 2 or 3 minutes. Clearly enough time, and it turns out it's Agnes at this moment in time. And she just yanks him up there like she did Mrs. Mack. And it's just like, like, how dumb are you just standing there? And they know the killer's up there, by the way.
Yeah.
They know the killer's in the attic.
This is in the 2006 one?
This is, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. How much did she weigh?
She's a big old bitch in this. Agnes is, if you're talking about her.
Okay, I didn't realize.
She is a mongoloid. Like she looks like she would probably fit in nowadays, if that makes you understand what I'm saying. She looks like she could have fought.
Just give her some blue hair.
Women's
Right,
MMA with a penis. If you catch my drift.
Well, that's allowed now because not all men have penis. Women can have them too.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's progression. That's how we get, advanced society there.
It would be a good slasher film to review with my old lady. I don't think she's ever seen the movie or heard of it, is Sick Girl.
Which one?
Sick Girl.
Oh, okay. I don't know that I've seen that one.
Oh, it's a B movie, but man, it is brutal.
There's a 2008 and there's a 2021. So obviously you're talking about the 2008.
2008. I didn't realize they remade the movie.
I thought that you were going to go the route of saying after what we just talked about that she should see Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah, if you get a chance, check out Sick Girl, dude. It's fucking brutal.
All right, I'll try to check that one out. Are y'all ready to move on to the last movie of the podcast?
I suppose, but before we do, I'm gonna play the closing music and then play the intro music. Okay?
Okay.
Let's see if I got this.